I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Our first agenda item is an exciting presentation of Tele and Communications Awards. I'd like to introduce Vivian Lett, our Communications Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. It's a very exciting time for the public communications team. What I do want to share, tonight's awards share one common thread, and that is collaboration. As advocates for this city, public communications work to ensure that information not only reaches residents, but also engages them. Every award presented tonight is the result of departments working side by side toward that goal. At the conclusion of me listing out all of the awards, I ask the participants whose name I call, along with Mayor and Council, to please come down so we could take a couple of photos.
Sure.
The first set of awards are the Communicator Awards. In its 32nd annual competition, the Communicator Awards recognizes excellence, effectiveness, and innovation in all areas of communication. Winning work is judged by industry peers, which makes this recognition a real measure of quality. Peachtree City earned 3 of those distinctions. The first is the FY 2026 budget book, as you all will see on the small podium. Those who worked very diligently on this includes Jasmine Julio, her role as art director, Wilson Allen, role graphic designer, and Kevin Mraz, co-graphic designer. The second award that we received is Fire and Rescue's 60th Anniversary Challenge Coin. This is truly an honor as Fire Rescue celebrated their 60th year, and I have to say, if you haven't seen it, it's absolutely great. And I will show that to you in just one moment. Those who were involved include Chief Clint Murphy, Creative Director, Tiffany Como, Co-Creative Director, Vivian Lett, myself, Art Director, Kevin Mraz, Designer, and Chris Darna, Photographer. So as you see, here's the budget book. And again, it's sitting right there on the front podium. This is Fire Rescue's 60th Anniversary Challenge Coin. The third is a Fire Rescue Papa Jimmy shorts. If you all have seen any of those videos, on our social media, on Fire Rescue social media and YouTube, I'm sure you will agree, they are quite entertaining. I will have more information about this team in just a moment. I am also happy to announce that Peachtree City won a Tele Award. This is an honored excellence that recognizes video and television since 1979 and has grown along digital media to include branded content, documentaries, and now social video. This year's competition drew over 13,000 entries from 6 continents from all 50 states. I am delighted to announce Peachtree City has received a gold award, the highest tier of recognition, placing our work in the top 3% of the entries. The series that received the award is Fire Rescue Papa Jimmy Video Series. The team who was part of this project: Chief Will Harbin, Creative Director; Josh Teal, Producer; Trent Jenkins, Producer; Jasmine Julio, Producer; myself, Producer; Tiffany Como, Production Assistant; Kevin Mraz, Production Assistant; Chris Darna, Director and Editor; last but not least, Will Calhoun, the writer, and this is his brainchild. So please join me in recognizing all of these recipients and accolades for the city. Mayor and council, I would like to ask if you would take a moment to come down to take the photos. I would like to start with the Communicator Awards. The Communicator Awards for the FY 2026 budget book. This includes Jasmine Julio, Wilson Allen, Kevin Mraz, Kelly Bush, and Dustin Farron. Okay, Mayor and Council, please don't go anywhere. The next photo I'd like to take is for the Fire Rescue 60th Anniversary Challenge coin, which includes Chief Clint Murphy, Tiffany Como, myself, Chris Mraz, Chris Darna, and Kevin Mraz. Can't forget about you. So for the Papa Jimmy series that received both awards, again, the Communicator Award and the Telly Gold Award: Josh Teal, Trent Jenkins, Jasmine Julio, Tiffany Como, Kevin Mraz, Chris Darna, Will Calhoun, and myself.
Public comment is next. Do we have any public comment this evening, Jasmine?
Jasmine, is
We
your
can't
mic
hear you.
working?
Yeah,
Closer.
it's on.
Okay. So again, if everyone can please place your phones on silent mode. And we have 22 individuals sign up to speak. The first person signed up is Gary Russum. And residents, feel free to use either podium to speak.
I didn't even notice the other podium.
That's okay.
Anyways, good evening, and I'd like to thank you for your years of dedication to our great city. I'm Chaplain Gary Rassam from Peachtree City's first and oldest veterans organization, the Veterans of Foreign Wars 9949. I'm here to announce a major upcoming event for the city on the 19th of December, 2026. Many of you are familiar with Wreaths Across America project that covers veterans' graves during the Christmas holiday period. Last year, every major cemetery in in Fayetteville County covered their veterans' graves with beautiful wreaths except one. That would be our fabulous Westminster Memorial Garden Cemetery right here in Peachtree City. With the help of the city, our citizens, and other supporting organizations, our Veterans of Foreign Wars Post will resolve this. This upcoming holiday season, please come to the cemetery on December the 19th at 10 a.m. and be part of the ceremony of placing beautiful wreaths on each of the resting veterans' graves. Of course, we need to obtain 1,000+ wreaths to make this event happen. One can help by sponsoring the wreaths through our website at www.vfw9949.org. Please note, this is not a fundraiser for our post. We are doing this to serve and honor our deceased veterans, their families, and our community. All sponsoring funds go directly to the Wreaths Across America, a nonprofit organization that will make and deliver the wreaths to our city major cemetery. The nationwide Wreaths Across America theme for this year is Remember Me. My fellow citizens, please go to our website and sponsor a wreath. Then come to the Westminster Memorial Gardens Cemetery on the 19th of December and help by placing a wreath on a veteran's grave. This will show our 1,000+ resting brothers and sisters and veterans, their families, and the whole community that we do indeed remember those heroes. Thank you very much for your listening to me. We look forward to seeing you on December the 19th. And I'll leave you with these words of wisdom from Thomas Jefferson. If you're really angry, count to 10. If you're really, really angry, count to 100. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, point of privilege, can I just say something on this?
Kent Schaefer.
Come on.
Thanks very much. Next speaker, please.
Hey, how y'all doing? I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk, and I just wanted to be here with a bunch of friends of mine from Crestwind. So if y'all from Crestwind, hold up your hand. And we want to talk about the single trash service. That if you all enact this, this is what I feel. Monopolies don't benefit consumer. Competition and capitalism do. You're taking away my ability to choose. You seem to think you know what's better for me than I do. You're making me pay for services I don't need or can't use. You're going to increase my cost for trash services. You were elected to make things better. Explain to me how this change improves my life or makes things better for me. It looks to me like it benefits the city more than us. Why you would pick a provider with a D- Better Business Bureau rating due to poor customer service is beyond me. Rather than make a change that impacts all citizens, just enact a mandate requiring everyone in Peachtree City to have trash service. So all I ask you to do is do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Excuse me. Excuse me. We have 22 speakers. Let's get to the next one and we'll hold our applause, please.
Jim Altamose.
Thank you. As my new friend Jasmine said, I'm Jim Altamose, Peachtree City resident of 8 years. This is our 23rd house and probably my final home. I have some familiarity with the variety of trash collection entities and practices with all those moves, city and commercially managed. I currently live in Crestwind, where virtually all residents have similar experiences with communities all over the country. I believe many of them also written to you on this subject. In my last email to the city manager, I posed some 15 questions or comments about this initiative. I have to tell you, that I'm on the board of directors out there and was appointed to be the point man on this particular activity, hence all the communications from me. I must tell you, Mr. Strickland responded professionally, expeditiously, logically, and in a friendly, caring manner with succinct, reasonable explanations. A good man, a good manager. Likewise, all of the council members responded with professionalism and courtesy. Thank you for getting back to me on that one. While there was a hue and cry over government telling us how and from whom we must buy a service, and besides the fact that for the majority of the city, we have a system that works with choice, good service, and reasonable cost, I plan to focus on the more specific issues raised by some of the 1,100 voters in my neighborhood. I lost my place. Again, we think all things are going well, and at $58 a quarter, for the majority of us anyway, we think we have a pretty good deal. Not many of us are happy about being forced to use a single contractor, especially one with no experience in PTC. We've also heard, as you heard earlier, that the chosen company may not have such a good reputation with some of its customers. We did hear before, though, that y'all have checked with a couple of the local cities and heard decent things. On the other hand, was it from managers or was it from the customers that you heard those good words? We're also not happy that, as best we know, we will have to subscribe to a single service selected by the city. It sounded at our last meeting like scenario 2 is the preferred solution. As you all know from our many emails and those of us here tonight, and maybe some phone calls, in Cresswind, we, the community association, have a contract with a landscaping company that cuts our lawns, trims our shrubs and trees, edges the sidewalks, and more. That company also hauls off all yard cuttings and debris. Truth in lending, if I get permission to cut down my tree in my yard, I have to arrange to get all that debris taken off. Scenario 2 includes collection of yard debris. We already pay for that service through our quarterly association assessments. We simply do not need it. The question, therefore, is why should we have to pay twice for that debris removal? I know you know we are a 55-plus community. More than a couple of us are over 80. We moved to Cresswind in part because all the yard work is taken care of, and there are a lot of younger people there, the ones that are 60 and 70. Lots of us are becoming a little frail to do the work, or we just don't want to do it anymore, or as evidenced these past 2 months, we should not be out in the yard doing yard work in these kinds of temperatures. In other words, most of us want the landscaper to do the work. We won't be creating yard debris, and that will need to be hauled away. So my recommendation is, first, perhaps we ought to pause the single contractor and service options decision until we've looked at some more options. Secondly, the council is absolutely convinced we must go to one contractor to account for the 1,300 residents who aren't having trash picked up. Please renegotiate with Waste over us having a variety of options to service all this.
Your time has expired.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Thanks.
Wayne Smith.
Is it $100 a minute over? Thank you.
I'm Wayne Smith, and I'm one of those younger Cresswind people.
My birthday is Monday, by the way, so I ain't here.
You might not make it. I have a little fable here. Bear with me. I went to Kroger for a dozen eggs. I was met at the entrance by the manager. She told me they were closed. I asked why, and she stated the Peachtree City Council has decided to allow only one grocery store in Peachtree City, and Aldi has been selected. So I went to Aldi. After a long line to get in, I got the last dozen eggs. Inspected the eggs, I found 2 were badly cracked. Each time I spoke with the manager, she stated if I have a complaint, take it up with the Peachtree City Council since they have made them a monopoly free of competition. And by the way, next week that dozen eggs is going to cost you another $1. Well, dadgummit, I was hungry. I went to lunch. I went to McDonald's. The manager stated they were closed because the Peachtree City Council decided there would only be one burger place in Peachtree City, and that would be Wendy's. Okay, so I went to Wendy's, and after a long wait got my double burger, I quickly discovered the burger was undercooked. So I took it to the manager, and she said, it's not that badly undercooked, and if you have a problem with it, take it up with the Peachtree City Council, since they have protected us from competition And by the way, that undercooked burger will cost you additional $2 next week. So let's talk trash. I probably won't be the only one that says that tonight. So each one of you council members may have a vote to decide whether you represent the citizens of Peachtree City or Amwaste. You have a choice to allow citizens a choice on who will provide trash service. We have a choice on the providers of natural gas, internet service, phone service, cell phone service, yard service, and the list goes on. Over time, monopolies historically provide poor service at higher costs. Monopolies do not have an incentive to provide great customer service. Oh, they will promise anything and present how great they are and how wonderful it will be for them to have total control, because they know once they're entrenched in the governmental power of the Peachtree City Council has done what they could not do by removing the competition, poor customer service and higher costs will soon follow. Tonight, we will probably hear presentations about how single provider is best for Peachtree City and its citizens. Maybe we will hear that service will be better, costs will be controlled, and all the problems with trash pickup will disappear since the City Council knows what is best for us. Maybe the council sees us not capable enough to make our own decisions, but government will come to our rescue. We should have more freedom of choice, not less. I don't care how many trucks go through my neighborhood. I want to choose which one stops at my house. I urge you to keep Peachtree City a place for its citizens to make their own decisions concerning trash service. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Teresa Smith.
Next, please.
Teresa Smith.
Hi, Teresa Smith. Thank you for the opportunity. As a property owner and citizen for Peachtree City, I'm against you choosing the provider and the service that I must contract and pay for. In my lifetime, I've literally never had an experience where eliminating competition improved service or decreased the price or made the service better. Quite the opposite. When you create a monopoly, you picked up trash through Peachtree City, I expect that all or most of us will pay more, as Jim's already talked about, and probably receive less service. We've had our current provider for many years since we moved here. We've never had one single issue with them, and over the 4.5 years that we've had them, they've also never raised the price of what they bill us for. Why would you consider a contract that locks the price for us for 3 years and then allows the provider to increase their fees? Shouldn't that be something that a provider has to earn the right to do by the service that they provide to us? If their service is not to the Peachtree City standard, then we're going to be tied to a contract under that proposal for 5 years minimum. As Jim said, our community association has a landscape contract that covers lawn care, trimming, maintenance, pine straw, etc., and the landscape company cleans up and removes all of the waste, so there is literally no value to us for having more than the 730 homeowners have to pay for bulk waste as a, quote, required service. That may benefit someone in the county, but it certainly doesn't benefit us. In researching the Fayette transfer station and how to use it, I went to the Fayette County website, and I was surprised actually to find that Amwaste already manages the Fayette transfer station. After I read through the information on the transfer station and thoroughly reading the information on the website, I had a couple questions. There was a phone number and an email address for Amwaste directly on there. This is more than a week ago. I made a call at 10 o'clock a.m. and got a message that there was one person in line in front of me and that they would be with me shortly. At 10:13, it said I was next in line. At 10:35, I hung up the phone and I sent an email. After I sent the email, which had my questions in it, I received a return email at 10:52 a.m. and received the information that my request had been received, along with the ticket number, which I will be happy to share with anyone. Oh, and I got a thank you for contacting Amwaste. That's a week ago. I contacted Amwaste. Amwaste has not contacted me, not by phone, not by response. And I am a Fayette County resident who has the right to use that transfer station. Why do you think they haven't replied to me? Because they don't have to. They already have that business. They have that contract. So based on my real and recent experience, I would expect the same level of commitment if we were to sign up with them from Peachtree City, and that's what our residents and taxpayers would have. That's not acceptable. So please allow us as citizens to select the service that's best for us. What problem are we really trying to solve? I believe that we should have the ability to decide what service we need and who our provider will be, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Next, please. Excuse me. Next, please.
Glenn Moore.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council. I am Glenn Moore. I am also from Crestwind, but I am not representing Crestwind residents, though we share a lot of information and the position on this. I'm going to ask, bottom line up front, the proposal to enact this trash ordinance and the existing downstream effects, that you vote no. If you have to vote and you can't table this, which I believe very strongly should, then again, vote no. As you have heard tonight, you've heard throughout the in various social media activities, July 9th, August 6th, there are significant numbers of citizens who are opposed to this, and for good reason. This ordinance does not represent good governance. In fact, I would suggest that it represents the opposite of that for a number of reasons. One, it does not address any public interest or the welfare, does not solve a public health issue, a welfare or safety matter. I want to address a couple things that were said during August 6th and other places about this concept with other cities and counties and municipalities being the norm. Let's talk about the norm here for a moment. I moved, as I indicated, 4 years ago, last August council meeting. My wife and I moved here nearly 4 years ago. We've specifically selected where we were going to move. And I would suggest to you, and there's data that I'm going to share with you that indicates this. Peachtree City is unique and different. It's the principal reason why many move and remain here. Population growth continues to increase. In a 26-year period, we increased significant growth, 31%. And I've got a bunch of other statistics that is there. The annual out means how many people move out is actually a net gain because of the influx of people who want to live in Peachtree City. Downstream effects, I'm not going to restate things that others have stated. I mentioned to Mr. Polachek and others in my letter. It's unclear how this ordinance will be fairly and evenly enforced. It's set up so that a false positive absolutely can occur, and then we've got to defend ourselves, even with material evidence that we don't have that. Another thing I wish to mention is that there was an assertion during that August 6th meeting that utilities must be maintained, and garbage collection, waste collection was one of those. That is absolutely false. And I'll tell you, most utilities, many utilities, even if you have zero use, water's a great example, you're still charged for that as a minimum amount. No opt-out, so that indicates that it hasn't been addressed. I'm not going to talk too much about prices because you've heard that already, but I will make this mention here. Trash collection costs, and I would suggest that from the city council chambers here, probably east, residents are paying more. Why? Because of the way the cost is driven. It's driven by landfill cost, and you heard a prior speaker indicate that that Amwaste owns that waste site. Others that don't have to pay for it. Adding yard debris, which I thought this was really interesting, debris option for any resident, not just us, likely is not helpful because many have overlooked this little key fact that think that it's a good choice. Under option 2, it compels all, if selected, bi-weekly, that's every other week, yard debris collection. I have owned 3 homes in Georgia and many prior to that where I had to mow my grass at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. So what's going to happen with that yard debris waste while they're waiting for a delivery? Last, binding contracts are equally as enforceable, maybe even worse than law, because few laws,
Your
if
time
any, that
has
I can find
expired.
is a
Thank you for
situation
your
in
comment.
which you cannot get out of it.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Barbara Freeman.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Who's-
Barbara Freeman.
Thank you.
Barbara Freeman. I have 2 very simple concepts that I want to discuss. I'm retired. I moved here 4 years ago. My husband and I moved here 4 years ago. 3 years prior to that, we moved to Noonan. We lived next door to our son. So we don't create a whole lot of trash. We didn't at the time create a whole lot of trash. We didn't need a trash service. We could take it over and use his, although he filled his up pretty well. There's a lot of residents in Peachtree City like ourselves who are older, who don't generate, a lot of widows, widowers. They might generate a trash bag once every 2 or 3 weeks. And they can either go next door to their children's house, if they're lucky enough to live next door to their children, and put their little bag there every 2 or 3 weeks. They're on fixed incomes. And now we want to have this mandatory requirement that you have to subscribe to this service, that you're adding, according to Amwaste, if we go with that option, $75 a quarter to a fixed income. I just think that's onerous for them to have to absorb into their budget, and it could be very detrimental to them and affect their food budget or whatever else they're working on. So I really want you to, 1,300 people, how many of them are these single widows and widowers who don't need trash service, and how many of them are truly the people that are abusing the cans in the trails? Why don't you put up trail cameras? How cheap is that going to be? Trail cameras would catch all those that are really the abusers of the system. The other thing I want to talk about is the contract that's being negotiated with Amwaste. I'm paying a whole lot because I only moved here 4 years ago, and the provider that I subscribe to, their current rates at the time that I moved here, $75 a quarter. That's a huge amount of money when I hear other people say, I'm paying so-and-so 50 some odd dollars or 60 some odd dollars. I feel like I'm getting a little bit gypped. And a lot of times when companies negotiate single source contracts with somebody like a city or a business, they're going to come in, if they're getting a small piece of the pie, they're going to be charging a lot of the money. If they're going to get the whole pie, they can take advantage of economies of scale. They can take advantage of whatever else ways they could save money, personnel, whatever. So I feel like Amwaste coming in with a $75 a quarter option, which is what I'm paying to a single provider who's only providing part of the city, that's ridiculous. They need to come back with something better if we go this route, which I totally oppose going this route. So those are my 2 points.
Thank you. Next speaker,
Robert.
please.
Robert Brooks.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I'm Robert Brooks, concerned citizen, resident here 40 years. I have a lot of neighbors here this evening, but I've lived in 4 different places, so I could probably represent half the city. I do believe you 5 individuals care very deeply about this community, and thank you for your service. But I also believe that though well-intended, transitioning trash service to a single monopoly provider is very misguided. In the 1990s, when I was sitting where you are this evening, we were approached to consider private single provider trash service or to actually have the city take it over in general. Then as now, overall trash service was being handled very well by multiple private companies. We rejected both proposals. Why? Frankly, we didn't want to get the city into the trash business. Didn't think we could do it as well. And why introduce city government into multiple business relationships where frankly it wasn't needed? We are all familiar from the news with consumer watchdogs, regulators, conservative and liberal lawmakers monitoring mergers, making sure that consumers are protected by having choices. And this is probably as close to a national consensus as that we can achieve these days in this country, but choice seems to be very beneficial. When Waste Management and Republic came to Atlanta Metro building their company size through mergers, they ironically had to give up routes to GFI and GFL, one, to protect choices. We in the 90s, as most consumer protection models do now, felt that Peachtree City residents would have more convenience, better and politer customer service conversations from somebody responding for a company that has competition, much better company response when there was a problem, more long-term price stability through competition, the ability to instantly change providers if you're unhappy, and more protections through multiple choices. That is why we rejected a single provider in the 90s. We have in this town what many towns pray for, multiple companies successfully providing a critical service. Most towns that choose to go after a single provider system do it because they're unable to create what we have here, and they have no choice. One other very important thing to remember, if you go down this road with a single source provider now, and 3 years from now you regret your decision, market forces could make it very difficult for us to recreate what we have today. Anticipating the comment, well, Peachtree City is different now than it was a couple decades ago. Yes, it is definitely different, but single provider monopoly service is less needed now than ever. Moving into the 21st century, the development model changed for Peachtree City to accommodate older citizens. In addition to large luxury homes, which we have plenty of, most of whom have private yard services and do their own yard waste removal, multiple cluster homes, not just Crestwood. Braylon's got 3 or 4, Lexington. There's a number of cluster home neighborhoods throughout the city now, condo developments, and frankly, 5 new apartment complexes which were built through the city, all with HOA contracts or rental contracts paying for yard services. Multiple trash service providers have done a great job adapting very nicely with those changes in development and still provide choices. A single monopoly provider will create unnecessary redundancy in Peachtree City, as you've heard earlier, and also put a number of small vendors out of business. We will lose a system that has been very flexible in reacting to change and market conditions. If your proposed experiment in monopoly service fails, small business will have to raise prices in the future to re-equip.
Your time has expired.
And
Thank
I urge
you
you
for your
not to
comment.
support monopoly.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Gail Wargo.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Gail Wargo.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gail Wargo. I'm a Peachtree City resident. And I'd like to thank the council, tell you how much we appreciate all the work you do to keep our community as wonderful as it is. The need for a mandate for residences to contract trash collection is understandable, although there do need to be opt-outs in my opinion. However, the proposed designation of a solid trash collection provider is not as understandable. And I have a simple ask. Would the council please answer the following questions clearly and forthrightly in a public forum before voting on this ordinance? 1, is there sufficient evidence that the current multi-company providers are not meeting the needs of Peachtree City residents, that is, providing competitive choice for price and service? Is the 14 versus 18 years of road health information that we've heard really worth removing competitive choice from 41,000 Peachtree City residents? How do we prevent the drawbacks of a monopoly with a 5-year contract, which many have highlighted leads to service failures and price increases historically? How do we explain to these HOA communities who already pay for some services in their community fees that they now must pay double? How not to consider this government overreach, creating a new ordinance for a non-problem, the mandate notwithstanding the monopoly. How to ignore the poor reputation and performance history of AmWaste in similar size and demographic cities. I've heard several times that Fairburn is happy with AmWaste. Fairburn is 14,000 residents. Peachtree City is 41,000 residents. these headlines from the Birmingham Real-Time News that speak to the contract that 3 suburbs of Birmingham signed in 2023 and how unhappy they've been with Amwaste and how they have fined them. The most recent, August 7th, 2026, after 3 years of a contract. They're trying to get out of it. This is the apples to apples comparison with Peachtree City, and I urge everyone to review these reviews. How will Peachtree City fund the trash complaint department? And finally, and with all due respect, and I mean that, with all due respect, how to convince the thousands of Peachtree City residents who are convinced that there is a payoff involved, that this monopolistic decision is indeed for good for the community, for the good of the community. And I think that is an important point that needs to be addressed. I thank you for your time. I urge you to vote no on the monopoly.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Diamitides.
One more time, please.
Michael Diamitides. I am so sorry. I do not think I got that correct.
My name is Michael Diamantides, and I've been a Peachtree resident for about 10 years now. Now, I'm speaking to voice my concern over this issue of a single contractor for waste. And in general, I'm against monopolies for the very reasons everyone says. Typically, you end up with higher costs and less performance. Now, I'm very familiar with trash removal because in my prior life, I was the director and vice president of property management for major companies across the United States. And the very few times when we considered consolidating contractors to a single contractor, we did so with very strict provisions. And these included: 1, did we have previous experience with the company and a long-term relationship with them? In this case, with Amwaste, you do not. We found that it's better that you have them or you know of people that you trust that has that relationship. 2, did the company have excellent reviews and performance ratings? We know from all the things that have been said, they do not. They have a dismal review with a -D rating with Better Business Bureau, compared to 2 of the other companies that you list on your website, which is Pollard and Republic, who have A+ ratings. 3, did we have a company have good training programs for their employees and good reviews from their employees? Because we found that when employees are treated well and trained well, you get good service. We used companies like Indeed to check that. Well, Indeed's rating of Amwaste has about a 2 out of 5 rating. That compares to Pollard and Republic at between 3 and 3.2. 4th, and these were very important, in every case, when we went with a single provider, we had full unrestricted termination rights. And we had specific periods, usually from 1 month to 3 months, to enact them. No criteria. If we decided we were changing it, we could change it. Your proposal does not have that, and quite frankly, the contractor will be in control. 5, whenever we went to a single contractor, in every case, our prices were reduced. For my wife and I, your proposal will increase our costs by 30%. The average that we had in companies who went to a single provider was a 20% reduction, because the companies picked up in what they lost in profits in volume. So that wasn't a problem. So I do applaud the city's work in looking for ways to improve the city services, but I'm afraid that in this case, it's been a little rushed and probably ill-advised. Accordingly, I recommend rejecting the single contractor option. At the very least, delay it until a more thorough review can be taken place. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please. Could you please hold your applause so we can keep this going?
Suzanne.
Thank you for your politeness. I appreciate it very much. Who's next, please?
Suzanne Stern.
Hi, thank you for having me. I am hard pressed to follow up on these guys. I'm a resident of Tinsley Mill Village, and I won't repeat the excellent points that have been made before me. I'm here because I'm worried about what this solid waste proposal does not address the needs of our unique community. I'm here about me and my people. our HOA has worked hard over the years to find the right waste management partner. They meet our needs, they do a wonderful job. And you need to know that trash collection in Tinsley Mill is not a normal thing. You know, they send a small truck through the neighborhood for us. We can't pull our trash cans to the curb and let a truck just come along, pick it up and dump them. Our guys get out, they go and get the trash cans, they schlep it to the little truck, they hand put it in, then they schlep it back. Same with the recycling bins. That's what we need, and they drive through our old, windy, narrow, beat-up roads and on out, and generally, we're all happy with that. We've got a good relationship with them. We have dumpsters that we get every year, and they do things for us. I have looked at the proposal, and I have not seen anything that addresses unique communities like ours. The numbers that I've seen look like they're in line with what we're paying, but I have serious concerns about the services that we will receive. I don't imagine that AmWaste has considered us and the not quite normal, services that we require. Frankly, it scares me that they're gonna come in and say, oh, you're weird, you're gonna get dumpsters. We don't want that. We are one of the original communities in Peachtree City. We've been here a long time. We love this city. The residents in Tinsley Mill, are real residents. We're few, but we're loyal. And I hope that you will consider, what that means. We're not all the same, and we're worried. We're happy with what we have, and I don't see the need to change that. Yeah, frankly, we haven't, I did call AmWaste to find out. I was on hold for 30 minutes, and they hung up on me without ever being able to talk to somebody. So I don't feel good about, they're not even trying to make us feel good about what they're doing. And I don't feel good about this, and I urge you to either make some changes or not do this. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Alan Phelps.
Alan Phelps, Lakeside. So there's a lot of smart people here. So I'm gonna cut to the chase. This is a solution that's looking for a problem. We don't understand why we're doing this to begin with, right? Because we've got services that are working just fine. They've been working fine for 20+ years that I've been here. One time, my garbage wasn't collected, and I called my company and said, why wasn't my garbage collected? And they said, you didn't pay your bill. Oh, my bad. I'll pay my bill. Okay? And all of a sudden, next week, my garbage is collected. Well, the point is that there's no reason to do what we're doing here. And I have to question, congratulations on filling the room. Good on filling the room again, right? Yes. It seems like every time this comes up, we fill a room, right? At some point, maybe we'll get the message that this really isn't something people are interested in having. They're happy with what they have. And frankly, bundling yard waste in with garbage, that yard waste should be a separate agenda item. Garbage is garbage, yard waste is yard waste. Yard waste, I could argue, is an issue because of the burn ban put in place last year, right? But there's ways to address that separately. I think bundling it together is kind of a sales job, and to put it together with trash becomes kind of a sales job. Like, why would we do that except we really want to have this situation? Sole source contracts have inherent risks, and all of those risks are mitigated by having more than one vendor. Okay, that's how you mitigate the risk, is not having a sole source. So why would we go to sole source? And I think the last thing I'll say is, I don't care who you select, the way that you're planning on doing this, while I know it's legal, is like the worst way. I call it the Pontius Pilate method of governance, which is, we're going to select a single vendor. We, the city, going to select a single vendor. We're going to give them a contract. And we're going to tell all the people out there, you have to pay these people for their service. Okay, so it's a tax by another name, just to be honest. But if there's a problem, the expectation is I'm going to go to that vendor and say, I've got a problem. I'm telling everybody here, call the city. If there's a problem, I did not contract these people. You're talking about contracting them. I didn't contract them. So if I have an issue, why would I call them? I'm calling the people that contract them. Okay? So I think that as far as these other issues we talked about, there's 1,400 people that don't pay for garbage collection. You've already heard one example. I think just, that number to me sounds really weird, but there's not 1,400 people putting garbage in the receptacles by the trail. Again, to all my friends and neighbors, if you see somebody putting garbage in a container, snap a picture, email it to the police, tell them the time, tell them the location, tell them the day. They can't act on that right away, but after you get about 50 of these, maybe they'll start seeing a pattern, and we can actually enforce the law instead of putting another mandate on people. Okay, so the idea of governance by banning or mandating, to me, is not a great idea. This is my personal opinion, okay? I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Ralph Hale. Ralph Hale.
My name is Ralph Hale. I live in Crabapple Woods. I'm here, as everybody else, talking about trash collection proposal, positives and negatives. Start with positive. Eliminate some truck traffic on residential streets. Negatives. Eliminate citizen right to choose service and type of service. Require all households to sign up for service and type of service, mayor and council, whether they need it or not. Eliminate HOAs from negotiating better rates, as Crestwind has done. Punishment for households to have other ways to dispose of trash. Punish small households that can share one trash container. Maybe add to the size of Peachtree City government to somehow track those that don't sign up. If mayor and council vote to pass their proposal, maybe next they may choose to eliminate other truck traffic by not allowing UPS, FedEx, Amazon, and others to deliver packages. Just use U.S. Postal Service. Next, allow only one tree trimming company to operate trucks on our streets, and the list goes on. Speaking with neighbors and other Peachtree City citizens, no one was in favor of proposal as presented by mayor and council. Several neighbors and other Peachtree City citizens that I have talked with suggested that if the mayor and council pass their proposal, maybe Peachtree City citizens should consider recall election for those that voted for the proposal. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, please.
Jeff Anderson.
My name is Jeff Anderson, and I live in Lake Forest Glen. All right, is that better? I just want to say I'm very satisfied with who we selected for our trash service. I like the option of being able to select who I want. If I don't like them, I can fire them. I won't be able to do this with y'all's condition here. And that's basically what I got, because everybody else has said pretty much what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Peggy Dilly.
Hi there, my name is Peggy Dilly, and I have lived in Peachtree City since 1997, so almost 30 years. I'm a registered voter, and I do vote. I have emailed all of you on the city council several times about the issue of mandated trash collection, and I do appreciate sincerely what all of you do for our city, and I appreciate those of you who took the time to respond to me. I hold our elected officials to a very high standard, and I count on each of you to listen to your constituents and ask you to do what your people want you to do. We are still a free country. I believe that we should have freedom of choice, continue to have freedom of choice. I believe that we are each entitled to select our own providers. I do not believe that local government should be taking away our freedom of choice. I do not believe that one size fits all. A monopoly is never a good idea for all the reasons that people smarter than me have said before I got up here. I am retired. I'm on a fixed income. I live in a 55-plus community that has a very robust HOA. They've gone to a lot of trouble to find services for us that are included in dues that we're already required to pay. I don't want to have to pay twice for services I do not need and will not use, and my neighbors will not either. The outcry against this proposal is very loud and very clear. I've lived here a long time, as I said. I've volunteered in a lot of different capacities over these past 30 years. Currently, I attend social events. I'm a patron of local businesses. I eat at the local restaurants. I visit the Fred. I use the PATH system. I volunteer at a local food pantry. I serve my neighbors. People in these circles talk. I have yet to meet anyone that is a proponent of this idea. People, a few of them are neutral, most are very strongly against, as am I. Further, the outcry against this on social media has been nothing short of amazing. Your people who you have sworn to serve do not want this shoved down our throats. And if you still think that's incorrect, then let's put it out to a vote of the people. A single provider. You can use some of my time to applaud, since we're not allowed to applaud in between speakers. So. Once a monopoly has been established, it might be very difficult to go back to where we were, as someone already mentioned. Finally, the company that's being proposed has horrible reviews, but that's not the point. I've heard that 10% of the residents don't have trash pickup. So why would you force the other 90% of us because of the 10? So I'm going to give you a very crude analogy. I did not think this up. I have to give credit to my neighbor, Tom Brogan, who I don't think is here. It's like 10% of us have pooped our pants, so 90% of us have to wear diapers. Peachtree City is a wonderful place to live. It's why I am still here after 30 years. It's always on someone's list of the best places to live. Please, I beg of you, do not start down the road of fixing what's not broken. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Sharon Geiswaite? Did I say? I'm so sorry. Let's see. Hi, I'm Sharon Geiswaite. I live in the Lake Forest Glen subdivision. I'm Sharon Geiswaite. I live in the Lake Forest Glen subdivision. Approximately 4 years ago, I was not happy with my crash service. After doing a little research, I switched to Pollard and have been very pleased ever since. Pollard is on time and it has great customer service. Also, has consideration been taken into account how this action will affect the current employees for the current companies that provide trash service? If Peachtree City has if Amwaste is awarded this contract. I'm asking that you please vote no on this issue, as I want to keep my freedom of choice for Peachtree City trash pickup. As my t-shirt says, I've been to London, Paris, Tokyo, New York, but I picked a place to live, and it's Peachtree City. Thanks in advance for your no vote.
Thank you. Next, please.
Brenda Walton.
Hi, I'm Brenda Walton. I live in Cypress Point, and I'm going to leave garbage for a few minutes. I hope that's okay. I agree with everything that's been said. I support it wholeheartedly, or I support the no vote. On behalf of everyone who has signed this petition that I plan to turn in to City Council this evening, I want to ask that you not proceed with connecting Peachtree City's cart paths to any neighboring towns. For some people here, this may be the first they've heard of the Fayette Forward Connect Fayette plan, and there may be some who would still like to sign my petition or our petition before we turn it over. I have sheets here if anybody would like to sign. When I asked about cart safety at the most recent Transportation Advisory Committee meeting, the Fayette Forward presenter said it would be up to each jurisdiction to determine how that would be handled. That's just too vague for me. I assume you've all heard about the man that was arrested for the attack at the woman in Sonoya. He lived in Fayetteville, attended Sandy Creek High School, and was previously arrested in Peachtree City in 2024 for similar charges. I ask that you not even consider the Connect Fayette efforts until a plan is submitted as to how Peachtree City, Tyrone, and Fayetteville will fund and handle security for all those paths. Please do your citizens right by this and let other communities build their paths if they want, but keep Peachtree City out of it. Keep us unique, please. So,
Thank you. Next, please.
Ann Minaldo.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I have two of those points. I was also going to speak on the path, and I think it's dangerous that we have a plan to open our doors without having a plan for security. So I urge that that be considered as part of the consideration when making that decision. And it is dangerous to have people just coming in and you don't know who's coming in. We lock our doors for a certain reason, and we need to be very careful when we open up paths and say, come on in, everyone, because especially we have examples of evidence of that. And then the second one is just, I'm very brief. I'm going to just get right to the point. And I like sayings. And when it comes to the trash pickup, I'm also against going and being told who I need to choose for that. I like that. I like saying, one of the sayings is, when everything seems to be going well and there's a knock on the door and they say, hey, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. And sometimes, we want protection. We appreciate the things that you do for us. But when things are going well, then the question is, again, if it ain't broke, why fix it? And a lot of us, I've talked to many, many people before I was coming, when I'd mentioned I was coming here and this was the topic, they've all told me, I haven't had one person say, oh, I can't wait for them to change and tell me which company I want. Everyone is happy with the companies that they have. I lived in a country where there was a monopoly. Monopolies are not good. If you've never lived under something like that, you cannot complain to a monopoly. The client service is not good. They realize they've got you. There's nobody else to go to. And so I urge you, please, to reconsider all and there's so many reasons, I'm not going to reiterate them again. But thank you very much for what you do, but please consider those 2 points, and we'd rather not see them. Okay, thank you. Good evening.
Thank you. Next, please.
Jim Sells.
Thank you. I've lived in Peachtree City since 1985. Sawmill Trace up to Lexington Park, now in Smoke Rise, and we're all raised the kids here, and now the grandkids are mostly here. And I didn't know we had a problem. So this is coming up. It's a compliment to code enforcement. We're, again, like it's been said, solving a problem that doesn't exist. And the reasons I see for this are more rationalizing to justify it than it is to really solve a problem. And I want to add too, because I'm the owner on record, I have over 100 accounts with AmWaste and Noonan. Noonan's been doing this for a few years. You don't pay, and this is what you're going to do if it's approved. You don't pay, and you're going to be brought before a judge. And I've been there because I had tenants, when they didn't pay, I'm the owner of record. Now I'm in front of the judge. I owe the amount. Point being, if you have a vacancy for any reason, you sell your house, you can turn off your utilities. You can't turn off your trash collections. And what you're going to force people to do that don't pay is to come explain to a judge why they haven't paid. So for that reason alone, I'm very much against it. I give AmWaste their check every month. I pay for all 100, and we worry about it if the dents don't pay, because it has to be paid. And vacant houses has to be paid. So I agree with everything, especially not having a monopoly, but thank you for listening to all of us.
Thank you. Next, please.
Riley Thames.
I will be discussing snow cones. A welcome change. All right. My name is Riley Thames. I'm a resident of Peachtree City, but I actually grew up in Sun Valley, Idaho, which is a ski resort town. I had the most amazing childhood there. Hiking, biking, skiing. I'm sorry, what? Oh, they want their time. Thank you for not starting it yet. And anyways, one of my favorite activities was swimming in the watering hole and then biking to town with my family and going to Irving's hot dog stand, which I don't even like hot dogs really, but it was just a sweet time with family. Irving's was located on a parcel of grass in the center, and it was a wonderful memory. Now, living in Peachtree City, I love going to Lake Peachtree. I love paddleboarding, swimming, and now I'm a young mom, and so I frequent the playgrounds a lot more often. So, thank you for all the work on playgrounds. But all that to say, for years I've wished that there was a community amenity that would serve families, desserts, treats, snacks. I understand, I just saw eyes get big. That's right, I'm pitching a business at Lake Peachtree. I know it's off limits, but hear me out. It's more enjoyable than talking about trash. So, I know that Lake Peachtree is protected, and so what I am seeking, and I respect that, but what I am seeking is a one-season pilot test on an amenity, a concession stand of sorts to serve the community. I truly believe that it would be loved, respected, and beloved. And so what I would like to do is create a beautiful cottage of sorts, small, that is not built, that is not run with electricity, is removable, and it would sit there from the seasons of April to October potentially, and be there reliable for the community, for moms, for people on the lake, using the parks, whatnot, providing refreshments, waters, maybe a sweet treat. I'm open to the product, but essentially I could run it with a lithium battery, and I would pitch, there's lots of locations, but my pitch would be Picnic Park, because there's plenty of golf cart and vehicle parking. There's a nice little piece of grass off to the side out of the way. There's a pavilion with chairs. There's already a picnic table. And most importantly, there is a public restroom within 200 feet per Georgia Health and Safety Code. So I know that I am asking a lot. Some people have looked at me and said, you're trying to climb a mountain. But I really believe this would be a beloved, great thing for the community. And so my thought is, why not ask? I understand preserving Lake Peachtree to keep it special, but I wouldn't want a rule to protect it also to stop it from something that could be great for residents, locals, and families and whatnot. So what I'm looking for is one or more city council members to champion me in the process of pursuing a special permit for a one-season pilot test. I will take on all of the risk, all of the cost, and you can terminate it at any time. Going back to where I grew up, that little hot dog stand, that has now been, well, it's been run by a woman like myself for over 40 years. It served multiple generations of children. It served celebrities. It's beloved by Tom Hanks, fun fact. And the city has actually come to acknowledge it as a landmark of the community. And it's known to be an important piece of its culture. And so what I'm here tonight to pitch is not a concession stand, not a snow cone shack, but a beautifully curated place where families can come and create memories and watch the sunset and have a snack with their dad. I want kids to grow up and say one of their favorite things was coming to the lake to have a treat with their family. I'm trying to create a place of memories. I would want it to be run with excellence to where Peachtree City is proud of it. And when you meet someone from Peachtree City, they say, oh, you gotta go to Rosie's Lakeside Cottage. They have the best treats there and the sunset's beautiful. So that's my ask. You guys will have in your inbox tomorrow morning a PowerPoint pitch with photos and whatnot. But please consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
James Clifton.
James Clifton, Fielding Ridge Precinct. What is the price of freedom? Apparently, it is about $40 per year in savings for a handful of people. That is the point at which our government thinks they should start taking away our right to freely choose service providers in Peachtree City. There have been several reasons put forth by council to support the decision to create a trash service monopoly and force every citizen to subscribe to the service. First, it was to ensure every citizen had access to yard debris pickup. When I began researching this topic, I found something interesting. The contracts signed by the city and the existing service providers, Pollard, GFL, and Republic, state the following. Section 2, titled Service, paragraph 2.1. The services to be provided by franchisee, the trash service provider, Hereunder shall be curbside collection of all household garbage, recycling, and yard trimmings generated by residential customers in the service area. Section 3, titled Residential Waste, Recycling, and Yard Debris Collection Services, states in paragraph 3.2, franchisee shall collect and dispose of in a workmanlike manner yard debris from each residential unit subscribing to this additional service. Why would council use yard debris removal as a reason for implementing this policy when it is a service that is already supposed to be provided and can be opted into at the choice of the resident? That doesn't seem like a logical explanation. Second, it is to stop the illegal dumping on the cart paths. There's already an ordinance that prohibits illegal dumping on the cart paths. The solution isn't to penalize the law-abiding citizens that dispose of their trash properly by forcing all to use the same provider and eliminating choice. The solution is to enforce the existing ordinances and penalize the violators. The whole city shouldn't be punished for the crimes of a few. Third, the mandate is intended to reduce the amount of trash trucks on the road. The problem is that when you require that every house have trash service, it actually adds trucks on the road to over 1,000 more homes. We also see multiple delivery trucks from Amazon, UPS, and FedEx every day of the week, and various lawn maintenance companies bringing in equipment to neighborhoods throughout the city. I hope the city doesn't plan on restricting us to a single delivery service and only one lawn maintenance company for the sake of preserving our roads. These reasons just don't add up. It seems there is a bigger target somewhere. If we had mandatory trash, recycling, and yard debris for all citizens, what would be the need for the recycling center or the mulching facility off Rockaway Road? I want to encourage you all to vote no on the mandatory trash monopoly proposal tonight.
Thank you. Next, please.
There are no further speakers.
I'm sorry?
There are no further speakers.
No further speakers. All right, thank you. I will tell you that we all read, there are very few times when I'll speak for others up here, but I will tell you that we all read our emails, all of us. We all read them all. Everybody nodding their heads. You know, not a day goes by, I could be out of the country, and we read our emails. So just so you know. And there are a lot of people who aren't here tonight who want to feel heard as well. And we do. We read all of your emails.
350 emails.
Yeah. All right, agenda changes. Council?
Madam Mayor, I would like to ask for an agenda change to move new agenda item C, 0826-06, RFP exclusive solid waste management collection and related services to be done right now.
Can I get a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next item is new agenda item C, 82606, RFP, and I can't remember if we have something in our packet on page 47. Give me 1 minute.
Just the original memo.
It's just a one-page memo.
Yes.
There's
memo
no
one
recommendation.
page.
Yeah.
Okay. Who wants to start comments? Ms. Brown.
I'll gladly go. First, for many of you, I'm sure you don't know that I was oftentimes the only speaker during public comment for meeting after meeting after meeting here. And if I had known that talking trash was going to bring you all here, I'd have brought that subject up a long time ago. So thank you for coming, thank you for having your opinions, and thank you for sharing them, all 350 of them, on email and coming here tonight. I oftentimes try to count how many people are in the room, but I have not even attempted that tonight. If anybody does that, send me a text tomorrow or an email tomorrow and let me know. Okay. The questions are, and the comments I have is, should the city wish to make any changes to our solid waste haulers in the future, it should be placed on a municipal ballot to get a referendum vote that will better reflect the opinion and desires of a far greater number of our citizens, although the number of emails was truly impressive for this issue. Our citizens want us to preserve their right to choose among providers who comply with our current requirements to be an authorized trash hauler here. We must encourage single-family residential homeowners but not mandate them to have a trash hauler. It is their responsibility to ensure they legally dispose of their solid waste without littering or illegally dumping either on the cart path or in commercial dumpsters, unless they own the rights to use that dumpster. If they are caught illegally dumping, they suffer the consequences, and they should. City staff should take steps to place signs at higher traffic entrances to the path systems, as well as on those trash cans that are identified as regularly having illegally dumped household trash in them. We need to clearly outline that dumping household waste on the path is not allowed. Yes, the 1,400 homes without a trash contract are not all illegally dumping all of their trash on the path. If they were, that would far exceed what trash we're pulling off the paths. So how many actual bags of household trash are being collected each week and over a month? I think we need definitive data. I'd like to ask Peachtree City Beautiful staff to document the volume and/or weight of household trash that they find on the paths, the location where it's typically dumped, so we can take measures to focus our attention on those locations by incorporating trail cams and other measures to stop the dumping. Trust me, our citizens clearly told us what they want in hundreds of emails that we have received. And I agree, we need the right to choose for ourselves the company that we use, the level of service, and how much we pay. We need to approve my motion, and I'm going to throw my motion out here right now. I would like to make a motion to terminate any and all council and staff actions on agenda item 08-26-06 RFP exclusive solid waste management collection and related services, and leave our solid waste collection policies and service provider policies as they are today.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second, and now we'll continue the discussion. Ms. Brown, Mr. Polachek, who wants to go next?
I can go, yeah. Well, thanks everybody for coming out. I think this is one of the reasons at the beginning of this year why we removed the time constraints for public comment, in case issues come up like this, and maximize the opportunity for public comment and for folks to come in. Also, the reason why last meeting, which was 9:30 in the morning, we wanted to have another meeting. Generally, we do not vote on issues in a work session, which is the first Thursday out of the month, and we wanted to give more opportunity. And also collect more data, look at alternative solutions, continue to talk with residents across the community. Just some context, as a council, we all discussed this in January at our council retreat. I think and we all agreed to put out this RFP. I think the initial intent was sincere, to see if there's opportunity to lower costs and what that would look like. No one had an answer of what the price would be. No one knew what vendors would put in a bid. I personally, when the RFP was presented to us in July, was disappointed that the vendor I have, which I love, did not even put in a bid. So to me, especially I was 3 weeks into the term, it's a fact-gathering mission to see what's even possible, and then have a conversation with the community and present the options to you, which was done in July when AmWaste, when the presentation, the results were presented to us. We had a discussion, decided to collect more facts, and AmWaste, which was the top bidder, not the lowest cost, but the top score on the request for proposals, an opportunity to come in and present their case, which we did at the last meeting, and now we're here. And like my peers on council, we hear you. And there's not a overall sentiment for me to support this. It is clear that the residents appreciate the choice in their trash vendor. But for me, right, I'm elected here to give objective analysis to ideas and proposals that are presented to us. So if there are 1,000 people who support it, but 100 or 1,000 that oppose it, 100 who support it, I'm going to look at both sides and give it a fair analysis of both sides of the argument. And that's what I expect out of my local officials, locally, at the state, at the federal level. And the thing is, we're neighbors too. I have kids here. I grew up here. My mom lives here. She's a single widowed mother on a fixed income. My sister's here with her 3 kids. So any decision we make up here impacts our lives too. And we'll see you on the golf cart paths and playgrounds as well. So I just want to provide some context of what led us here today. But it's clear that, you know, our system isn't perfect. I know there's people who appreciate fewer trucks, but there simply aren't enough trade-offs for me from a policy standpoint to justify shift to a single vendor. You know, over the time, and yeah, I campaign on yard waste pickup, and that's something I'll continue to advocate for and see if there's a pathway for the city to provide that as a service. And we can have a discussion as a council and hear feedback from the community if that's something this community wants to move forward with. I think one item I've seen from this process is that there still is a general interest in having some sort of yard debris program. To one of the presenters earlier, during the campaign, I called every single trash vendor because I saw that folks, it's what I heard during the campaign trail. People wanted yard waste debris. And yeah, one of the results was because of the trade-off of the burn ban. But my vendor that I love, that's $8 a bag, and they maximize that at 5 bags a week. $8 a bag. I think we can do better. And even though that is what I gather, one of the vendors is clearly the most popular in the community, I'm going to keep them anonymous just to be fair to the others, but $8 a bag, and I maximize at 5 bags. So, you know, whether you have a 1/4 acre lot, 1 acre lot, I think that's something we as a city can have a conversation about. But over this course, I also saw other arguments come up from the proponents of this. One was infrastructure and paving argument. And my challenge with that was it was really difficult to quantitate the cost savings for repaving our roads. And I also saw some arguments, well, make that result in a millage rating decrease if there's going to be a cost savings. The challenge is our repaving is not funded by our general fund. So any savings we have from repaving is going to be targeted at our SPLOST or a state local maintenance grant that we receive from the state for repaving. So that pathway wouldn't be possible for a tax cut because we wouldn't realize those savings either way in our general fund where we address millage rate revenue. So that, it was really difficult for me. I need to have quantitative data to support such a citywide mandate policy change. And that was a challenge on that argument for me in the long term. Illegal dumping, we've all seen the social media posts. I've seen it firsthand in isolated areas around the community. It's clearly, after digging into this issue over the last month, it's not a citywide issue. I think there's alternative means and possibilities we have. One that Councilwoman Brown proposed as well. And that's something for me, I just need more data on the front end to see where the isolated hotspots are. I think more signage is a common sense solution, maybe increasing the fines, but there are alternative means of approaching that. And then it's clear that we're always going to look at ways to enhance the quality of life here, you know, because I want to retire here. My mom's retired here. I also want to attract the next generation of families and businesses here. So there's going to be ways as we modernize into the future to look at ways to enhance quality of life. But I'm not in the business of stripping anyone's choice away in order to accomplish that. And I will continue to defend that. And there's going to be areas that we have discussions and, you know, open public debates about ideas, and some of them we'll agree on, some of them we won't as a council. And we'll move forward, but you know, single vendor is not the one. And when I was reading the emails, folks are very passionate about this. I also polled folks in the community. I stopped people literally on the golf cart path, at the playground, school drop off, just friends in my local network. There were people that supported this, but the idea, I also asked them, are you content with the status quo? And they said, yeah. This isn't the issue that keeps them up at night, right? Is their trash service. They might be worried about the price of gasoline or beef, but not this. As long as their trash is consistent and they see that from their vendor, and if there's an issue, they can change. So that hit home as well. Folks are very outraged and passionate about this topic, and again, we appreciate everyone's feedback. We hear you, and there are some very solid arguments out there, and really specific, unique ones. Folks on single income, folks that don't have much trash that may share, you know, a trash service with their neighbors. Well, again, like my mom, who's single income, and my father passed away 5 years ago. So that's something, I see that. I hear those really unique situations. Again, we shouldn't penalize everybody. And I think there's some other common sense solutions. So just to wrap up, moving forward, some alternative solutions that I'd like us to look at. One is the yard debris, and maybe as a council, we can have a discussion about just asking our staff to look into the cost and logistics and have that discussion, what that could look like as a city-provided service. And that's another service that the city would provide to residences here for those who want it. Another is mulching center. One of the items I heard over the months is continued frustration. Very grateful for the volunteer work and people who run the mulching center. Unfortunately, it's only open 2 days a week, and that's a challenge for a lot of folks, especially folks with young families like me. I do my yard work. I have a 2-hour window Sunday evenings, and that's when I get my stuff done. And then I work, and I have counsel, there's no time during the week to drive. I don't have a truck either. So I grew up in the South. I still don't have a truck. So that's a challenge. I'd like us to look at the cost of what expanding the hours at the mulching center would be, maybe adding another day or two. We did hear a lot of excitement about Junk Removal Day. Everybody hopefully knows we have that community-wide junk day, and it's drastically risen in popularity. A lot of folks utilize that. Over the last 2 weeks, also looked, I think we have some internal budget line item that we could maximize and potentially add on another weekend in the year for the community to utilize, and that's something hopefully we can have a conversation about adding one more junk removal day. And again, I already addressed the illegal dumping and the need for more data. So I apologize for being long-winded, but again, this is a policy decision, and that's my policy analysis on it. So I think that's fair to the residents, and appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Thanks.
Ms. Johnson?
I will make mine short. I know. Anyways, I'm not usually the council member that has the prepared statement. I like to come and I like to listen and I like to make notes, and so I don't necessarily have something to read to you. But some of the notes that I took during your public comments tonight, and I definitely appreciate you guys coming out. One person said, "I know y'all care very deeply." That's true. It's true of every person up here. We may not all agree, but I will say I care about this community. I chose to run because I care about this community.
It's not because of money.
I mean, my family moved here in '91 when I was 11 years old. I'm now raising my family with 5 kids here. And we're all here because we love Peachtree City. And I will agree, a lot of y'all are very smart, so smart. And so thank you for all of the research that you've done, the emails that you've shared with us, the information, and a lot of y'all are really funny. Some of y'all make me laugh. And I understand the frustration that you feel. Like we've said, we've heard it in 350 emails. And I appreciate you coming and expressing yourself, mostly in a kind way. Listening to you guys, honestly, tonight has been pretty enjoyable for me. I tried to respond to as many emails as I could. If I did not, I'm sorry. And I don't make the practice of putting my opinion in a written statement. So if you got an email from me, you'll notice that. And the purpose of that is because when I come into a meeting, I want to be open to anyone who has something to say in that meeting. And I don't want my decision made up before then. So I always, till this point, want to be open to what everybody has to say. However, my stance on this has never wavered. We did discuss this in retreat. There's been a lot of talk about that retreat. And if you go back and you listen to it, there's concerns that I raise, and a lot of the concerns match some of the things that you guys said tonight. I think at the end of this, there are root issues, and this would be a broad stroke brush being used on smaller issues like yard debris and public dumping, which have already been addressed. And I think that it's not worth the cost. It's not worth the cost of you know, what this would do, the choices that you guys have ultimately at the end of the day to do that. A lot of the analogy that I kind of used from when we started discussing this is I remember growing up and being the kid in the classroom. I was always the good kid, shockingly. But there was always like the couple of kids that would like act up and then the whole class gets punished. And I always hated that feeling. And I was like, this is what this feels like to me. So I just feel like we can, as a council, go back and address those issues. They do exist, and I think there are benefits of a single trash hauler. If I actually remove myself from this position, my personal, you know, family, like I'm like, I don't care if I have a single trash hauler, but my job is to set my own self aside and consider the best for the community, and I think we've heard very loud and clear your voices, and representing that definitely matters to me. So I will not be in support.
Mr. Holland?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have been washed over with a tsunami of people tonight. And I can tell you that I've gone both sides of this during this whole discussion we've had since literally January this year. And I've gone both ways. Oh, it's a good idea. Then I heard somebody say something tonight that was like a to the face. This is a solution looking for a problem. I don't know who said that, but that really struck me very well. I think that what's happened is that 350 emails, give or take a couple, and all of the telephone calls that I've received, my number's out there. You can call me. I answer the phone. Sometimes I'm afraid to go in the grocery store. I get stopped and say, Clint, we need to talk. Or the one that I don't like is I'm drinking coffee in the morning, bing bong, the doorbell. I've had all of the above, and they want to talk trash. So I've been inundated over the last few months, and you know what? I listen just like our counterparts here on the city council. This is one of those situations that the citizens have spoken clearly, often, and loudly on this. And if we can't hear it, then we don't belong in these chairs. So given all of that, I'm going to be a lot quicker than those two at the end there. I'm going to be a lot quicker. I'm not in favor of this, and I think that a lot of people are probably surprised by saying that, because at one point I was on the other side, and I'm being honest, I was on that side. I flipped back, and I listened to my citizens, and I'm representing you up here tonight.
All right, are you done? All right, I know how to count, okay? We vote as a panel of 5 and majority rules. I know how to count. I want you to know that. I also want you to know that I believe everyone's voice should be heard, and not everyone lives in Cresswin. A lot of my friends live in Cresswin, and there are reasons why Cresswin would not like this solution. It hasn't been presented in a way that works for Cresswin. I get that, and I heard from my many, many Cresswin friends, so thank you for that. We also have preliminary data on Zen City, and that is a targeted survey company that we use to represent a cross-section of our citizens. We'll be talking about Zen City results next month in a more comprehensive way, but our Zen City end of July questionnaire went out with this. You'll be very surprised, but don't worry. To what extent would you support a citywide, single company curbside pickup for trash, recycling, yard waste, and bulk item pickup program if the bill was around the same or less cost than your current curbside provider that only provides trash and recycling pickup? And the answer is 66% positive. Shh, 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 shh. So tonight, I will speak for the citizens who did write us, and we read their emails too, that talked about what they would see in their neighborhoods who don't work, who don't live in Cresswind. Reduced number of trucks on the road, reduced noise and emissions, accountability for litter and spills on our roads, better looking neighborhoods with cans out only once a week. Most neighborhoods don't have that luxury. expanded services potentially as yard debris, improved efficiency for our staff, that's for certain, and a more equitable system in which everyone participates. And yes, as we've all shared, there are pros and cons to every one of those points. We would not see, I would never allow double billing or redundant services for a neighborhood like Crestwind. But we also did hear that we would be able to handle the private neighborhoods who have their own roads with smaller trucks, and those services are available. Funny story, I don't think he would mind if I shared this. We got an email from Harold Logston. Please pass the agenda item. This is a former mayor. Please pass the agenda item relating to exclusive solid waste management collection. It is best for the city. And the fact is, another citizen wrote, the vast majority of households would see a cost reduction and an increase in services. I get that. No, Republic is $87.60 a quarter. In any case, I know how to count. I heard you all, and I will speak for the rest of the city who couldn't be here or isn't otherwise hearing their voice here tonight. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. No. Motion carries 4-1. And with that, it is 8:05. We will take a 10-minute break. We'll start sharp at 8:15.
Mass exodus.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
On the what? That's okay. All right, council.
This is Suzanne. See you next Thursday.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. $60 million budget.
$40 on trash.
Mr. Holland.
Suzanne's back. I was waiting for Paul to say something earlier.
Well, it'll take me less time in the grocery store now.
Yeah.
Okay,
A lot
city
less.
council members, can I please get a motion to move public hearing B, variance request for encroachment into an easement area and a side setback at 219 Sandown onto the, as on the agenda as the next agenda item?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And now we'll do 219 Sandown. Do we have a public hearing to read?
This is not about trash, I promise. Okay. When the public hearing is open, members of council will become hearers. No action on their part is in order until the mayor declares the hearing complete. First, city staff will present the request and provide an assessment of compliance with city code. The mayor will then allow up to 10 minutes for speakers on each side of the issue to present evidence. No individual member of the public will be given more than 5 minutes to speak. Time limits may only be extended by a majority vote of council and will be divided equally between those supporting and those opposing the issue. The mayor will recognize the applicant and those supporting the issue to present evidence. Remarks will be limited to a total of 10 minutes. Then the mayor will recognize those opposing the issue to present evidence for up to 10 minutes. Prior to closing the public hearing, city staff and the public will be given the opportunity to ask questions of either or both sides of the issue. When the mayor and council are assured that the presentation of evidence is complete, the public hearing shall be ended and council may then debate the issue and render a decision. All speakers from the public are asked to follow these rules. 1, please wait to be recognized by the mayor. 2, come to the microphone and state your name and neighborhood prior to making remarks. 3, keep individual remarks under 5 minutes and do not repeat comments. And 4, address all comments to the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Shayla Reed.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As mentioned, this is a variance for 219 Sandown Drive. The request is for a side yard setback and drainage easements encroachment. Thank you, Jasmine. Alrighty, sorry about that. Okay, as shown here with the screen, the property is zoned R12, which is a single-family residential zoning. The item tonight, the property owners are requesting 2 variances, a side yard setback and a drainage easement to allow for an encroachment in both. This will allow for an existing deck and gazebo to remain and bring the site into compliance. There are 3 particular ordinances that we are looking at today or pertaining to this request for tonight. The first is pertaining to the side yard setback, the second drainage easement, and the last is to explain why a fence permit is pending. It is pending because the site must be in compliance before we're issuing the building/fence permit. So I'll go into more detail as to what they're requesting on the next slide, but right now I'll explain to you that there's 2 different variances that this site has requested. The first was in 2003, where there was a 10-foot side yard setback that still exists today, but that 10-foot side yard setback received an encroachment of 4 feet 4 inches from City Council in 2003. There was a 7.5-foot easement for that site that was not addressed during that time. So that brings us to 2006, where there is in fact still a side yard variance that is needed for the side yard, as well as the encroachment as mentioned for the 7.5. So I would like to explain to you the difference between the 2. So you'll see here on the illustration, the red line has a 10-foot setback, the green line has the drainage easement, and the purple line shows the 2003 approved variance by City Council with 4 feet 4 inches, and then you'll see a drainage pipe there reference to the 15-foot utility easement. And then there, of course, is the deck and the gazebo. So the first box, okay, the purple line showing here is where you're gonna find the 4 foot 4 inches of the variance that was provided to by council in 2003. You'll see the deck located here, and that's particularly where the actual variance stopped in that location to allow for that gazebo to remain. However, as you're seeing, the deck has encroached far past that allowed 4 foot 4 inches. And you'll also see that it also encroaches into that 15-foot easement that I mentioned here. So you'll see that it encroaches in 2 different things here, even in 2003. The deck does not show a permit for that deck. We did find a permit for the gazebo. So the distance between the gazebo and the easement piece here is gonna be 1 foot 10 inches. That would match along with what council approved in 2003 for 4 feet 4 inches. Oh, sorry about that. So that is what happened in 2003. They received the variance that allowed for the gazebo to remain there, but unfortunately the deck does not have a variance reference past that line there that's showing where the purple is mentioned here. So anything past here does not have a variance, nor anything past this area here has a variance.
So from the purple line out to the property line
That is correct,
is
sir.
not supposed to be there. Is that what I'm seeing?
That's correct. We don't
Okay.
have any records of approval
Thank
of
you.
that. 2026, that brings us to why we're here tonight, because they are asking for approval to allow for that to go to the property line almost. And so that takes it to, there needing to be an additional variance for the side yard setback, where they, red is shown here. That now is no longer there for the gazebo and deck. It now starts here where the purple is. So anything from the purple on would be 5 feet 8 inches or 7.2 for the 15-foot easement that's shown here. So if they're asking for a variance for 2 things, 5 foot 8 inches and 7 feet 2 inches, basically, for that particular piece of the property for today. Here you'll see the condition of the site. Again, the property is requesting a fence permit. They're showing photos of the fence too, so that you can see what they're attempting to fix here. You'll find the pink flags that are shown there in the yard that a surveyor came out and confirmed that the property line is shown where the flags are located. So you'll see the deck expands out to where the property line ends, basically.
Can you show me that again? Do you have a laser to show me where the deck comes out to that property line?
Yes, ma'am. So that
Thanks.
is the property line. Here's your deck.
Right behind the fence.
Got it.
So it's the red one there, that's the deck.
Yes. So you're seeing it there as well. Well, that's better. Thank you.
So it comes right to the property line.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And then, of course, it's shown here, the fence, they're here to fix the fence with the permit request. Unfortunately, we can't grant the permit for the fence because the property is not in compliance.
But you see how they have, I think, which, sorry, Shayla, while I
It's
point at
okay.
my own picture here for a second. So this is a fence,
Got it.
that part.
Yeah.
But if you look at this picture, this has a, like, almost like what looks like fencing all the way around the deck. So it's kind of like, I think the 2 items are one and the same. The whole thing is all red. But this is actually the fence that faces the street.
So we're not
And
talking
immediately
about this.
behind it,
We're not talking about that.
well, they're trying to get a fence permit to replace this type of fencing all through the rest of the backyard.
Which they cannot do because the other has to be.
They have to
Correct.
clear the encroachments.
Mhm. Okay.
They have to come into compliance.
How do I clear my screen? I can't do
Sorry.
that. Poop. No, I screwed myself up. I turned it off.
They have to
There we
clear
go.
it for you.
Thank you. Sorry, I kept touching it.
Sorry about that.
And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you. And is the applicant here, and would you like to speak? Please take the podium. Thank you for coming, and I'm glad we could pull that ahead for you. Too bad we couldn't pull it ahead of the trash, huh? Yeah. And please start by sharing your name.
I'm Michael Cornett. This is my wife, Christy. So, the pictures you're looking at are pretty good. That front red fence, we're not wanting to replace. It's just the backyard because it's just dilapidated. It was there when we moved in 1999. And it just won't, the wood won't even take a screw or a nail anymore. I've repaired it multiple times and it's time to replace it. It's just horrible. Also the fact when we moved in, the deck was already in place. The structures were there. The survey we had done when we moved in didn't show any variance. That's why when we came in 2003, when I built the gazebo, we had to get a variance for that and got it permitted. At that time, we didn't know there was a utility easement. They didn't know there was a utility easement. We didn't find out until we made an application for this fence. And when they were reviewing the records, on a builder's plot, it showed it. So since then, they said, you know, we need to get the records up to date. So we went ahead and hired a surveyor for $1,500 to get that done. So all the records are up to date now and shows the easement. It wasn't shown on anything that we'd ever seen. So it's there. The deck existed. We just want to keep it there if we can and replace the fence. I know it's an easement there, so if there's an issue that a repair needs to be made, I'll incur that expense to remove whatever I need to out of the way if work needs to be done, and then put it back up.
And I think one thing we need for y'all to understand is we purchased this home in 1999. That deck, all of that was there when we purchased the house. This is not something we built since we bought the house. This was built before we even bought the house. None of this was disclosed to us on any property seller disclosure statement, which I have, which goes back to what we went through in 2003. It's all part of that record then. We honestly thought that all of the variances, encroachments, easements, all of that was handled in 2003. That's what we've thought for 23 years until we went to go apply to get a new fence.
Thank you for that. So the short version, my understanding is now we've discovered a stormwater
Yes.
pipe, and that to pull back, is it 1 foot 10 inches that we're looking at now?
Yes, ma'am.
Would clear that stormwater pipe and give everybody comfort going forward. Is that true?
No, that's
No.
wrong.
So let me explain that again. So the 1 foot 10 inches would be what would allow for them to be where the 4 foot 4 inch that was granted in 2003. That would have aligned to the actual variance that was given back in 2003.
So what line, colored line are we
The
looking at?
purple one.
That's where they would, that's where they could go?
Yes.
Shayla, we would need to grant the variance for the easement into the drainage system of 1 foot, what was it, 1 foot?
1 foot 10 inches.
10 inches in order to
match the 4
to
foot.
match the variance that they already have.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
that does not address what encroachment is there.
Yes, oh, I know that.
Yeah, there's 5 feet 8 inches of encroachment beyond that orange, behind the purple one. Is that correct? 5 feet
That
8
is correct.
inches?
That is correct.
And that deck goes all the way to the property line. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I wish we would have realized this when we purchased the home.
Oh, we do too.
Oh.
Imagine our dismay.
This is not a headache we wanted to
Yeah.
purchase.
Well, we just need to find a solution.
Right.
Fair?
Right, right.
Yes.
Apparently, this owner who built all of this had a way of doing things with the city that no one else got to do. Like he put a pool in, took trees out that was never permitted. As you see, the deck was never permitted. He also was allowed to build an addition onto the home over a builder's debris pit, which in 2007 started sinking, and we had to pay $30,000 for helical piers to correct that problem. Wow. And we have the paperwork from the city showing it was signed off saying that that debris pit was cleared out, and it was not.
Yeah, a lot of that used to go on too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not alone on that
You
one.
can go through the backyards of our neighborhood and see where
See
they're all
where
at.
all
Oh,
they are.
yes.
That aside,
So, so what's the solution?
I have several questions, I guess, on top of what I try to answer for yours. Okay, excuse me while I read these, because some of the things have been answered already. So you're saying that when you came in front of the council in 2003, the deck was already built out to the property line?
correct.
Correct.
It was built out to the property line the day we moved in.
So when you were in front of the council in 2003, you needed a far larger variance than what was addressed to the council.
Correct, that's what's brought to our attention now. When we went to the council in 2003, there was no realization that there was an easement there, the utility easement.
There was still a property line and a setback, and what was
Correct.
granted to you
Was a property
in the
line setback.
variance was based on where the property line is and the setback of 10 feet. So they were only looking at where the gazebo went in. But Shayla, do you know from back then, they would have needed a variance for the deck as well, correct?
That's correct. So, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So they should have come to the council at that point asking for approval of a variance to have a structure. A deck is a structure, unlike, a patio is not considered the same as a deck, but a deck is a structure. And so you should have asked for the full variance of the entire infringement into the 10 feet minus, I guess it's 3 inches on the one end and 7 inches on the other end.
Well, we do have a copy of the position paper from April 10th, 2003, showing about the 10-foot side back and what was granted to us at that time from the Planning and Zoning Commission. It was part of our package that we submitted.
Shayla, was that anything of what you had given to us?
So I believe Justin shared that with you. There's a permit that was, or the variance piece. So that's actually the permit for the gazebo. But then there's also a separate piece that mentioned the variance from 2003, where you had minutes and things of that nature for the permit.
And we would have loved to address the deck in 2003 if we were aware.
Had
I
we
mean,
known.
we had an inspector come out to inspect the gazebo,
Council came out to look at the property.
and they walked around the deck. The deck existed, and I don't know how it did not get addressed. If it was gonna be an issue. That's where I'm kinda confused.
And when we purchased the home, the original survey did not show any the utility easement at all.
Which is baffling, because when they plant the streets and the lots, they have to put the stormwater drains in place. So the drains were there, the curbs were there, the little hole in the curb with the drain was there. Why it never got put onto your, God help me, I wish I could shake some of these people who drew these plats and did some of this stuff. Because all of that was not done properly as far as I'm looking at, because it's blatantly obvious. I got on Google Maps and did the street view and backed it out and looked at it, and it's right there, there's the drain. Those were put in when the development was built.
Correct. And that's where they found the easement, was off the original builder's plot. It wasn't recorded anywhere
The
else.
survey plat, I think it was, Shayla, is that correct?
For the, yes, we had the
Subdivision plat.
we had the survey plat as well as the actual site plan. Both showed these 15-foot.
Well, the other thing I kind of take a little bit of exception to is the inspector came out and inspected on March the 18th of 2004 and approved the construction, and it's hard to tell, I don't have my reading glasses out, but he wrote, "The trees are in place, the electric wire is covered." He never addressed how far into the easement or whatever, he should have measured to match that you hadn't gone over what the approved variance was to go into the setback. Let's not even talk storm drain, let's just talk, he didn't even address whether or not you met the requirements with the setback variance. Had he been doing it according to the way I would think, he should have addressed and said, well, there's a deck there that goes 5 feet 8 inches past what's approved in the variance. That should have been brought up right then and there. He never should have approved the completion of the permit. And if I'm saying that wrong and somebody in the building, Shayla, if you guys know different, or Jonathan, I don't know. I mean, my way of looking at it is, how many different people dropped the ball with this?
Sure. So here's the issue now, and this comes from an email we got from our city manager, and it's just very well stated. Now we discover that there's a 7-foot 6-inch utility easement that belongs to the city that this structure is now built over. Right, we're all on that same page, right? We actually have a storm pipe down the middle of that easement that is bolded as the dark orange line, which is basically the property line. So from a city's perspective, this is a major problem, because when the time comes for us to replace this pipe, we will need to tear down part of the deck where it sits now, which is right over the pipe. We don't want to do that. We don't want to have to do that. If council decides to let you keep what you have built beyond what you were granted, somebody was granted in 2003, that puts us on the hook to replace that deck during future maintenance and replacement, and we can't. We just can't have that.
We can't sign anything that say it'll be our responsibility to do that?
Probably it would be your responsibility now, and we would
But
have
you're not
to.
gonna own the house for forever, that's
Right.
the problem. That pipe has been in the ground for 44 years already? 44 years. Or maybe 45, because the pipe might have gone in before the house did, but, I mean, so there's a storm drain there. And Jonathan, were you able to find out anything else with here's the other thing that you guys would not necessarily focus on, but that we as a council have to see all the time. We've had numerous times and issues where storm drains in some of the neighborhoods have collapsed. From the minute you put a pipe under the ground, you set the timer, and it's a declining entity. It's gonna die at some point, it's gonna fail, it's gonna cave in, you're gonna have a sinkhole, whatever. So the integrity of the storm drain system becomes a big focus for us. We're all like hyper vigilant about it, because as soon as one collapses, we have to fix it, and it's far more expensive to fix it after it's collapsed than to deal with it, like, as it loses some of its structural integrity. Some can be relined, some cannot. It's cheaper to reline them than to replace them and dig it all up. But if an excavator has to go in there, it's the city's responsibility to get access to the storm drains. So we have to go in with an excavator, dig it all out, put the new pipe in, and of course that means, no matter how careful you are with an excavator, the deck is coming out, because the deck sits almost on top of the storm drain.
I understand
So the deck would be definitely structurally at issue, and potentially the gazebo, because that sticks so far into that same area. So, and we don't know when the thing is gonna fail, and neither do you. It could be next week, next year, or in 20 years. So I put it to our Public Works Director, who's acting Assistant City Manager, and tell us what you know about the pipe.
So what we know at this point with the pipe is it was recently inspected. Now, when we do those inspections, they're usually done with a GoPro to kind of camera what we can see on the entrance and the outlets of the structures. It is labeled as a severely corroded, so it's getting to that point. I can't say for sure that it can be lined or it needs to be replaced at this point. What we would do is, as it queues up to be in a possible lining candidate, we'll hire a company to come in and actually run a crawler through it to camera the whole pipe and determine if it's a candidate for lining. If it's not, it will obviously have to be replaced. So that's what we know about the current pipe. I do agree, I'm not sure what has happened in the past with this. I reviewed some of the documents. I believe the final plat does show the drainage easement. I will say, however, the survey that was presented in 2003 does not show those easements. So it existed when the subdivision was platted. However, whatever survey was obtained in 2003
Yeah.
or presented doesn't show that easement at all.
One of the many people who dropped the ball.
So I'm going to continue, if you don't mind. I'm going to continue in this same email from the city manager. So to not conflict with the previous variance, council could at least approve a 1-foot 10-inch variance into the utility easement. But another option then with that is to pull back the deck. I'm sorry to even say this, is to pull back the deck to match the edge of the gazebo, because that clears us of that utility line, of that stormwater line.
Exactly, Madam Mayor. And not only that, but it does give, it still maintains the 4-foot 4-inch that you've already been granted,
Yeah,
and we're not taking that away. But unfortunately, a piece of the deck is gonna have to disappear. And otherwise, and when Jonathan starts to replace that pipe, there's gonna be a big dig there, and it's gonna have to go at that point.
so that's 5 feet 8 inches of deck that is over that line. I'm so sorry.
And I know it wasn't your fault. We
Yeah,
got that.
yeah.
We
No, it
understand
isn't
that.
our fault, and a lot of this is on the city's fault.
Yeah.
And now we're the ones having to pay for this, and you don't even know when this pipe is gonna fail or if this pipe is gonna fail.
Yeah.
But yet, we've gotta take out all of this that already existed. I just find this a great injustice of being a citizen and resident of Peachtree City since 1999. I think this is very unfair to us.
Yeah.
Well, the other part of the problem that we see from our side is that when the pipe fails, let's say you sell the house, you might be more than willing to shoulder the cost if ever we had to replace the pipe. But the pipe might not fail for 20 more years. And at that point, the citizens of Peachtree City, the taxpayers, are gonna have to pay to remove the fence, remove the deck, remove the gazebo if necessary, if it's truly in the way, or if they can't get in there and do what they need to do, and then put it all back. Rebuild it.
Why would they have to rebuild it? If it's removed and you've done this, then
Because
I just
if
leave
we
it removed
grant
at
you
that point.
permission to have that structure, and Ted seems like he's gearing up, but if we grant you permission to have that structure in an easement, a utility easement, and then construction has to be done, that puts the burden of cost on us, unless I'm wrong. Ted, you wanna jump in there?
The law allows the client to talk to their attorney in private, and what I'd like to really consider doing tonight, I do have an idea, but I want to share it with you before I just blurt it out over the microphone. Might I suggest we continue this matter for 2 weeks? I understand they're in a hurry, but I know there's a lot of consternation about this. I do think I have an idea on how to resolve that potential cost for the city going forward. And I'd love a chance to speak with you all about that.
I would take you up on that.
I would too. He's always good with a magic bullet.
Not
So-
always, but.
Well,
But-
ever since I've been on council.
we're looking for a resolution, whatever it
Exactly.
may be at this point. We've
Can
been
you
trying to
wait
just
2
build
weeks?
We're-
fence since January.
Can you
we're
wait
not-
2 weeks more?
2 weeks more is
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're
For
not
as long as we
happy
wait.
telling you gotta rip all this stuff out, trust me.
No.
It's never easy from this side of the dais to do that.
But-
But we have to represent the citizens of Peachtree City.
Totally understand, and I want to
in
come
this
to a final
situation.
resolution. We thought we did in 2003, you know?
Yeah.
And we
Oh,
need a
no, I-
final resolution. You need a final resolution. We need a final resolution. We need to figure out how to get there.
Trust me. Shayla and Jonathan and Justin will tell you that over the last 2 days, I bothered them for more and more documents every time I turned around and found another red flag, another red flag. Oh, no, the deck is, the deck, either they built the deck or the deck was there and it was never addressed in the prior variance. It's like, it just kept ballooning. So, yeah, let us delay this, put you on the agenda in 2 weeks and see if Ted has the miracle solution.
All right, at
Madam-
least an idea.
What do you need,
Madam
what do we
Mayor,
want?
Before we do this, I'm gonna take a moment to stand on a soapbox. I know that you, as a council, and us as a staff hear constantly complaints about how processes take longer, how we're requiring surveys, which unfortunately is an added cost. Trust me, I went through a variance for my own house in Coweta County that required surveys and then as-builts and everything along the way to make sure we complied with the variance that Jill and I obtained for our house to do an addition. I understand the cost. It's like paying for insurance. We all pay our monthly premiums hoping we never have to use it. Sometimes there's a cost to get a survey. For years, Peachtree City required foundation surveys. We're obviously now requiring more surveys. And it's not to penalize people. It's truly meant to avoid scenarios like this. Because had this current survey requirements been in place, to your point earlier, this encroachment would have been noted when they were building what they built after the 2003 variance. In other words, we may have avoided being here tonight, some cross-referencing to plats versus surveys that are current, which don't show a drainage easement and a pipe. And had that been caught, we wouldn't be here having to deal with this issue this evening, because everything would have been caught along the way. So that's just a personal comment that we don't do these things to penalize people. We're truly trying to avoid problems on the front end, so that it was 2003, so that's 23 years ago. So that 23 years later, people like the applicants are not having to come back before council to try to fix something again.
Yep. Madam Mayor, can I just make a motion to table this for 2 weeks? And
Until
bring
our
it
next
back?
council meeting?
Right, until our next council meeting.
I would actually recommend that we open up the public hearing and then close it. I don't know what the
Okay, we
solution
got a
is.
public hearing, that's right.
All
Sorry.
right.
We would have the
Sorry.
public hearing, that way we would not have to have another one if the solution is.
Oh, cool. Thank you for your comments. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor? Seeing none, is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I hereby close the public hearing. Mr. Holland?
One more
Yes.
note.
Yeah.
I'll eventually get
It's,
that.
I'm sorry, Councilman Holland. It's a morning meeting, the next meeting, so can you do 9:30?
On a September
On
3rd
a Thursday?
of Thursday, September 3rd.
At 9:30?
Check my
Yes.
calendar at home.
And we won't have a trash issue on that date, so
Yeah.
hopefully,
That'll
you know,
be an
you'll
easy
find a
meeting.
parking
I just
space.
wanted to note that it's a morning meeting, not an evening meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
You done? Okay, Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we table this until September 3rd? Is that the
Third.
right date?
Yes.
Okay, September 3rd.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And we'll see you then. Motion carries. We'll see you on the 3rd, and thank you.
Thank you.
Council minutes, August 6th, 2026, City Council work session minutes.
I'll make a motion, Madam Mayor, that we approve the minutes of August the 6th, City Council work session minutes.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Consent agenda, new alcohol license, K Delicia. Can I get a motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda item A.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Old agenda item 72603, fiscal year 2027 operating and capital improvement budget. Justin Strickland.
I had a whole presentation. I'll,
Same one?
it's toned down a lot, but yeah, it's a lot of the same slides, but I can just go to the end. But I'll read the memo. So council, we held a budget workshop on June 22nd. Then we held the required public hearing for the budget on July 9th. And so now we may take, or you may take action to adopt the annual operating budget and capital improvement plan. We have the attached resolution and supporting documents in your packet. The budget will be for fiscal year 2027, which will start October 1st, 2026, and go through September 30th. And I'll go to the end, unless y'all want to see stuff. You've seen it twice now. So here's the budget summary. Total sources of funds, $60.7 million, and you'll see on the other side we have that balance with expenses at $60.779 million. And I'll open it up to questions with y'all, and I can go back to slides or look at slides if you all want to. But I know it's been a long meeting already, so I want to respect your time. And if citizens want to see the presentations of the budget, we've done it twice in June and July thoroughly. So.
Council?
And it's published, right?
And it's published on our website, so I'm comfortable answering any questions you all have. If not, I would recommend that you all adopt the attached resolution for fiscal year 2027 budget.
Okay, it actually, oh, yeah.
Yep.
I was on the wrong page, sorry. Can I get a motion, please?
Madam Mayor, I am going to be doing that because last year I was a real pain to the city, so I'm going to make amends this year. Don't laugh too much there, Kelly. Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve, is that the right word today? Approve, adopt, okay. The operating and capital improvement budget item 072603
For fiscal year 2027.
for fiscal year 2027, okay.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any last comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Old agenda item.
Told you, Kelly.
Hold the applause, you.
Let's see. New agenda item 82604, fiscal year 27 proposed budget, Peachtree City Convention and Visitors Bureau. Tyler Runyon.
Gee, I didn't even know you were here, Tyler.
I know.
I couldn't see you through the crowd.
I was gonna say I should have went before public comment because I got really excited. I thought a lot of people were here to hear the CVB budget.
I know.
And now I'm kind of depressed. So I'm gonna pull a little bit of. If people can pull up my cool. As they pull that up here, I'm gonna pull a Justin as well and kind of go through a little bit quicker on the front end so you can see the meats.
Just getting Tyler, looks like you're actually going to talk about annexation.
Yeah, well, we can definitely flow right into that if you would like.
Not yet, not yet.
Oh. And, okay, so, can you hear me?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
While they are pulling it up, I'll go ahead and just talk about a couple things real quick because I did have a whole plan of kind of recapping this last year and everything we did. And I do want to still just say a couple stats here just to showcase my team a little bit. I can go next slide. All right, so instead of kind of going through everything, I'm just going to highlight a couple points here. One for Sarah Tarnowski, my sales manager. So I know I talked about this a little bit last year, but in 2023, prior to Sarah and I coming on board here with the CVB, we had documented 75 hotel room nights for the entire year of 2023. Which obviously is not probably true, but that's what was documented and in our system is being tracked. Just to put that into perspective, 2025, we documented, tracked, and impacted 7,600 hotel room nights. The one thing we wanted to get honed in a little bit on is 61% of those picked up. So when a contract gets signed and we put them into the system, and then there's a pickup rate of what actually happens, right? And so I challenged Sarah to get a lot higher of a pickup rate with how the hotels are doing contracts, not giving so big of blocks unless groups are worth it, that sort of thing. So then so far, year to date, compared to that 7,600, year to date for 2026, we're at 9,500 hotel room nights, and we're at a 91% pickup rate. So that's huge.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you. that is huge. Another fun one, so with Wilson handling our marketing, he has been focusing quite a bit on our social media this year and just our overall engagement, and both are on all social media platforms together. Our followers and our content interactions are up both over 65% year over year. So just two really good examples of the type of numbers we're putting out there, how we're doing it, and the fact that we're doing it right. And the last fun little piece that always gets left off is our little visitor center over there by the BMX track. Year to date, we're at 110% increase in sales, and showing a 42% on profit margins compared to 18 in 2024. So just a really nice little highlight there, and just want to showcase that. These are some pictures of just some really high points for us throughout the year. I just wanted to point out two really quick. The bottom corner here is a baseball tournament that we brought into the pack. The picture right next to it is us taking our intern to the Savannah Bananas game at the Braves Stadium to get to know her. And so we kind of got inspired there. And so we dropped off to a baseball tournament, 250 pounds of bananas with our logos on them to all players and coaches and all fans there. And the cool thing about little things like that is that group has now booked again for next year and brings a bunch of teams and a whole weekend of hotel stays.
That's
so
marketing.
I just want to point out those kind of fun things are what we do and what we're all about.
That's good marketing, is what that is.
Absolutely. And it took a lot of stickers and feeling. So our budget. All right, so just to talk about our sources, I think all of you are. There we go. I think all of you are pretty aware at this point of where our funds are coming from. We have about 90% coming from our hotel motel tax. And then we also have other revenues and use of reserves. So we did have, coming into this a few years ago, pretty high reserves. We've been using those to really buy and win business and be competitive in our incentives that we offer. And so last year that was $75,000 in reserves. Now we're to 50. We're kind of backing it off because we're getting into a comfort zone with where we want, between that 30 to 50% mark. So that's where you'll see that. And then next year that'll be even lower. And then our other revenues, that's showing that $70,000. That is showing our merchandise sales, our events that we put on, all of that combined. And then our expenses, so contracted labor, 48%. And then obviously the bulk is the yellow there at 44% with our sales and marketing. At the end of the day, we are a marketing organization. So if we're not marketing, we're selling. So this is what it's going to look like. A couple things I just wanted to point out. So you see total contracted labor, and you see a 26% increase, bringing us up to 48% of our budget. That increase is because we have approved through our board a position to come on as long as this gets passed as well in October. So October 1, we would be hiring a special events and marketing coordinator to support our marketing and then also the events that we do. We're kind of hitting a point, especially with, I've talked through this with the board, where we're turning away a lot of good ideas because of protection of bandwidth for our team. At the end of the day, we're 3 full-time employees and 2 part-timers, and we have a lot of things moving in the right direction and a lot more than we've ever been doing. And another fun piece to that I'm proud of, because that 48% is not as high as some CVBs. I reached out to a good 4 or 5 CVBs, and anywhere from, of our size, anywhere from like 45 to 53% is where they're kind of at. I always like to be a little bit on the lower end of that, but the 48% makes much sense because we do a lot in-house. So we rely on our employees. I don't outsource very much. We don't contract out our marketing. That's Wilson, that's me, that's our whole team having think tanks. I just feel like we're the ones that know Peachtree City best, so we're going to do it in-house as much as possible. So that's where I'm fine and comfortable at that 48%.
Tyler, will you show me that 48% again, please?
right there.
Thank you.
Yep. And then you see right here a drop in 29% on the administrative and general operations. That is because we've been doing a lot of work over at the visitor center. If you've been over there, we've really refreshed kind of everything, touched on everything throughout. We have layered in new furniture. We have swapped out pretty much everything in all the offices just to get it updated. We have created a private conference room now where we're no longer having board meetings in the middle of our merchandise area, and revamped our break room and that sort of thing. So now that we've done all that, I can take that money back and put it into the labor and the further sales and marketing. So this budget, here we're showing the budget request at $1,114,900, and this has been voted on by the board at a 5-0 in favor. So I'll leave that up to you if you have any questions and let you take action from there.
Before you go, I do have a question. It's off topic, but
Okay.
it might be on topic. I drive down McIntosh all the time. There are no signs that say Visitors Center this
Amen.
way.
Amen.
I think
agree.
we need, maybe Jonathan and Justin can help you out there, to get some signs, not only there, but close to the roads, out towards 74 and the Parkway, so that they know, oh, turn here if you want to go to the Visitors Center.
Yes.
Sorry, I just, as a marketing guy, I look at that and I'm going, where are the signs that this is where you're going?
No, I probably think about that probably 3 or 4 out of the 5 days that I
Well, there you
drive
go. You
in,
got
so-
somebody else thinking the same way.
Absolutely. So we'll have to talk with Justin and Jonathan on that later.
I don't have any other questions, council.
No, I'm good.
No, thanks for all you do.
Yep. same.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion, please?
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the fiscal year 2027 budget for the Peachtree City Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all.
New agenda item 82605, fiscal year 27 budget, Keep Peachtree City Beautiful. Kelly Bush. Cardboard.
Al, now I don't have to do it. The jokes, I was gonna start with every year, I put this together for Al, and he stands up here and does it, and one of the things that he always requires is he's gotta have a joke. So I was gonna say the joke is y'all get me this year instead of him, because I got a lot of negative feedback that it was gonna be me instead of Al. But last year, Al sat up here and said, y'all just approve this. And it's been a really long night, so would y'all just approve this?
Can we say yes
We're
to
clo-
that?
we're
Can we say
Probably,
yes?
yeah.
We're close to that at this point. But it's not 11 o'clock yet, so.
The Keep Peachtree City Beautiful revenues are budgeted at $258,948. That money comes from a couple of different places. One is we're gonna talk trash again. One is the waste hauler franchise fees. Prior to November of 2024, our waste haulers collected paid Al $1 per quarter per customer, and it would come to the city, and then it's a pass-through, it goes straight to Al. In November of 24, we increased that to $1 a month per customer. So last year, his budget went up some, and we're really starting to recognize where those costs need to go. But, so this year, we budgeted $144,000 for the pass-through from the waste haulers. That's the same that you'll see in our special revenue fund, which is Keep Peachtree City Beautiful, Inc. Of the $144,000, Pollard is in second. They have 4,044 homes is what they report to us that they're paying on. GFL is the smallest with 2,638 homes, and Republic is the largest with 5,318 homes. The other revenue that Al, or that Keep Peachtree City Beautiful, it's not just Al. It seems like it's Al because we always see him out there working. But he does have other people supporting him. But he gets funding from the city through city contracts for a litter and compost contract because Keep Peachtree City Beautiful maintains 83 miles of streets and highways within the city. The cart path and litter trash, they maintain the waste bins on the 100-plus miles of multi-use paths, and then they contract to walk trails and pick up litter and maintain waste at Lime Creek. They get a little bit of money from the recycling center. Most of the revenue that we get for recycling is offset by the bin pools when they come and they pick it up. But according to just what we're trending this year, we've increased that to $11,000 for next year that we should see in just recyclable fees. And then I was going to talk about the timing of, we made some changes to the recycle center out at Public Works because it was apparently all of the cardboard from Tyler's renovations at the Keep Peachtree City
CBB.
The CBB, thank you. So they don't have a fence, but they have bollards. They have restricted the area, and they have changed the operation hours Tuesday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Sundays, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Mondays they're closed, and they have restricted the area to make sure that only Peachtree City residents are bringing their recyclables there.
Can I ask you a question about that, Al? Has it helped you a lot since we put that regulation in place? I mean, because it should have reduced drastically. I mean, I know we talked about it, and I trolled social media a year ago before we made the change, and there were so many people instructing everybody on social media, oh, just take your cardboard to Peachtree City, you can drop it there for free. And I was like, just going bonkers, going, no, it's not free.
Yes, it has improved it tremendously, and it's sort of cute, too. In some instances, people will come over from other cities and pick up a friend and bring them over. And so what you have is the person driving the vehicle looks over to the passenger and says, could you show me the driver's license, like that. So there is some avoidance of it, but it has dropped it off. Our tonnage has gone down.
Well, that's
Now,
good.
now, on top of that, however, we are, as Kelly said, we are there looking at those hours. You know, before it was pretty well open, you know, in 24 hours. So we've cut that part down, but then we have invested more manpower into running the facilities.
Which leads us right into the expenses. And the expenses of notes is an increase of $21,200 in contract labor from last year to this year, and that's just based on year to date. Like Al said, they're maintaining and managing in person the limited hours. Bin pools are slightly increased, and the overall increase to the expenses is $12,687. So the offset to the additional labor is that rentals and dues and fees have decreased, and that's just based on year-to-date numbers. This is the last audited numbers for Keep Peachtree City Beautiful is fiscal year 2025, and their audited revenues were $112,505, and that wasn't with the full increase to the monthly instead of quarterly. Transfers in were $136,602, and that's actually that's the waste hauler pass-through from the city is considered a transfer in, and in 2025, we actually had to subsidize them $600 $6,340 that we no longer have to subsidize them. Expenses were $229,142, so that put $19,965 into their fund balance, and at the end of fiscal year 25, they had a fund balance of $70,435, which is 31% of their annual expenses.
All right.
Very
Which
good.
is just dead on recommended.
All right.
Okay.
And if you have any questions, there's the guy.
All right. Questions, council?
Nope. We can make a motion.
Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve item 082605 for fiscal year 2027 budget for Keep Peachtree City Beautiful.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. New agenda item, 82607, annexation study final draft. Justin Strickland.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. We contracted with KB Advisory Group on this study a few months ago. The process so far has included interviews with you all, with council members, with staff, including police and fire. And then we also held a open house to the general public on July 16th. I think KB's done a good job of putting this study together. There's a copy of their final draft in the packet. But right now I'm going to call up Jeff Koski, who was the lead on this study for us with KB, to do a presentation and overview of their final study here.
Thank you, Justin. Mayor and Council, good to see you again.
Well, thanks for hanging with
yes.
us.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
This is fun for a guy that likes public meetings.
I don't believe you.
We hope you were
This is
entertained.
what I signed up for, so.
Yeah,
okay. So, good to be with you again. Appreciate the opportunity. As City Manager said, the report is final, and at least as far as the work that we've done has all been cleared, the tasks that we agreed to do. So tonight, this is a summary of what's in that full report. I really do hope you read the full report and not just the summary. But you know, again, in the sake of time, we didn't want to just sit up here and read a report to you. So here we go. Is this?
I think I gotta put it.
It's a PDF.
There
so
should be
maybe
like a
it doesn't-
present mode
Yeah, present
for
mode.
PDFs.
There
I
you
thought I put the PowerPoint
There
in
you
here.
go. All right. So first couple slides here really are the what, the why, and the how. So what, the why, and the how. And so this being the what, the study that we did, again, we found, you know, we landed here in Peachtree City. We did a lot of research, desktop research, but really spent a lot of time here talking to y'all, talking to citizens, talking to staff. And we found real fast that build out is upon you, that the city's basically built out. And that's probably something you knew coming into it, which is why you one of the reasons why you wanted to do this. We've also found, just like a lot of in Georgia, that property values, we didn't have to do much research to know that property values have gone up tremendously, most places. But we wanted to see what was going on just outside the borders, right? And so in areas that you might be annexing, what's the property value doing there? And certainly the property values are increasing quite a bit, have increased quite a bit there as well. And the neighboring jurisdictions, such as particularly Fayetteville and Tyrone, are also growing, as we know. And so that kind of sets the stage. That's sort of the context, as it says. And so then the questions were, if you were going to grow, if you wanted to grow as a city, if that was a policy that you had, let's continue to grow our population base and particularly our economy. Where would that be, and what would it cost, and when should we do that, right? And so those were the questions. And so again, then right down to the purpose, where we were evaluating areas adjacent to the city. Of course, the law requires that annexation would be contiguous, so we can't just go searching anywhere. We had a pretty limited scope. And then we wanted to think about, okay, where are the potential larger areas? As I said last time I was here, we stuck to Fayette County. We didn't go across county lines with any of our work. That was clear from the beginning, that stick to Fayette County. And so that's what we did. So then, you know, what we did is then sort of distilled what we started hearing and what we started knowing. This is the why. Why do you want to do this? And again, this is our distillation of what we heard and what we found, that really this is about expanding the tax base, right? The property taxes, particularly property taxes, but also employment opportunities and economic development, right? And so not just how do we collect more property taxes, but how do we provide a stronger economy locally, right? That so people can do business and own businesses and work here in Peachtree City. And then ultimately, of course, you're looking out for the long-term fiscal sustainability of the city. So I think that piece right there in the bottom in the light blue is important, in that we heard loud and clear, and we certainly believe as people that work for cities all day, every day, that we wouldn't necessarily want to recommend that you take on something that's going to sink you fiscally, financially. Let's look at this closely from a financial standpoint, and there may be reasons to pursue annexation that aren't fiscal, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But certainly, the budget matters. And so again, these are things that we heard, and some of these things are repetitive now, but that as Fayette County and Coweta County are competing for dollars and for households, that's sort of you've got to take that into account. If you don't grow, they will. And so how do you grow? And then again, also just that kind of idea of your inventory of commercial properties is shrinking, and if you're going to continue to expand the economy and offer jobs within the city, there's just less and less of that. And then ultimately too, if you were going to expand, nothing gets easier over time, right? Because all these other cities are also looking at annexation, and the cost of land is not going down around here. It doesn't seem like it. That's our thought. So again, this becomes strategic, as opposed to why would we do this? Well, you've got to have some goals. You got to have reasons to do this, because it's not just clear that it's not clear and obvious that there is a target to go after, right? Particularly from that fiscal standpoint. So this is how we came up with this, and again, we'll get into the answers in just a minute. But it was a lot of math, right? This is the how, and it's a lot about your tax parcel data. It's about fiscal impact. It's about service costs. It's about how much it costs to service a residential parcel versus an industrial parcel, et cetera. And then looking at the revenues, right? So cost versus revenues gives us that fiscal picture, which again is really at the heart of the recommendations is fiscal, but it's not all that we had. So again, there's a picture of Councilman Holland and I at the open house in July. Very well attended. Obviously, you have a engaged citizenry, and it's special. Honestly, it's really neat to hear. And again, someone said it earlier, how kind people are. I mean, there were people there that were diametrically opposed to even the word annexation, like don't put those letters together. But we had great conversations. It was nice, and I think we left happy.
They all walked out understanding what we're doing, and that was probably the biggest takeaway by the citizens.
Right. Thank you for saying that. And so yes, so again, not asking everybody to agree, but just asking everybody to take time, and it was nice to get that. And so we tried to distill what we heard there, and again, just right off the bat, we heard skepticism around the necessity of annexation. Just, we heard that. Not to say that everyone there, but we heard a fair group, and not just there, but other places, that not everybody says we should be even thinking about this. Obviously you are, and I'll stop there to say this, this is best practices as we know them for cities to basically every 5 years take a look at annexation. If you're not doing this on a regular basis, you will be caught on the back foot, as they say in soccer. Now that we all are soccer fans, so you don't want to get caught in the back foot on an annexation question. You want to be proactive, and the future. Who knows what the future holds in terms of people wanting to be annexed, and so as you all know, you get annexation requests. Studies like this help you have an informed discussion about that. And so despite the skepticism, just doing the study, whether you annex anything or not, is
absolutely a best practice for a city in Georgia. So that in and of itself is worth it. We heard again that there were now kernels of consensus about, oh, okay, if we're going to annex, maybe there are some good places that we could be looking at. And I would say that the 54 corridor between here and Fayetteville, people sort of got that as a call it strategic move to say, well, that land is sort of up for grabs. Fayetteville is probably interested in it. You know, it's either them or us, or if it develops without Fayetteville or Peachtree City, then it's the counties, and the county gets to zone it, and the county gets, so you know, that was one thing that kind of lit a light bulb for some people. And again, some support for annexation of Starrs Mill. A lot of people didn't even know that Starrs Mill wasn't in the city. It's a Peachtree City school, of course, but it's not technically in the city boundaries. And so people said, well, why isn't it in the city boundaries? We should have that. Well, there's one reason, is that it doesn't pay any taxes. It's tax exempt, right? So if we're strictly sticking to the fiscal argument, there's good reason not to annex it. It probably would cost more money to service that school, given school resource officers, et cetera. Nevertheless, there could be reasons why you want to do that. And again, and then the questions 4 and 5 are a lot about Ebenezer Road, and we'll talk more about that in just a second. That'll be area number 2. But area number 1 is that, and so that was the how that was kind of summarizes what we heard. Now, this gets into the answers, right? And so what we did, I'll go back to this map real quick, just to say, if you can see over, you can see in the blue, that's your current boundaries. To the left is Coweta County, so there's no colors over there. You've got 5 different areas colored, you know, to the right of the map, to the east, and so those were the large areas that we looked at. So we said, you know, these are the swaths of land that might make sense for a large area annexation. So 1 through 5. So again, they're ordered in kind of what we would call the order of importance. At least at one point, probably in July, it came out. And even still, well, I'll talk about some nuances to that. So area 1 is that area between here and Fayetteville. Again, if you add up all those parcels and you annex that whole area in red, it would cost you money. The service costs, it's largely residential. The service costs, as it stands today, the service costs outweigh the benefits, the fiscal benefits. The key here is the future, right? So the future would tell you that there's going to be commercial development along that corridor. And so the question then would be, well, would we want to go ahead and take that now and potentially lose money on it, if you will, from a property tax perspective, in order to sort of gear up for the growth along that corridor that we then will get to control, we being y'all, the city. So that's really, again, where you kind of come into strategy, right? Do we go out and we take property that we know, we think is very likely to become a fiscal winner, right? If a big commercial or even a smaller commercial property was built on any of these parcels, it likely becomes fiscally positive. Mm-hmm. But it's not there today. And so, you know, this would be kind of proactive zoning, gearing up to control the growth along that corridor strategically. But it's not so much a fiscal yes. It's a strategic yes. If that is a policy of your body to say, let's ensure that we control the growth of this particular corridor, it might be worth annexing, because there are some, and you can see the map, you can't see the legend from the seats, but the ones in green actually are fiscally positive. So overall, it's fiscally negative, but even currently, there are some parcels that are actually paying more in property taxes than they cost to serve. So this is annex area number 2. The red is the Starrs Mill property owned by the school board, of course. And so again, you know, it might be worth your time and energy to bring in Starrs Mill, sort of, you know, to make it officially part of the community. We talked to staff, chief of police, talked about school resource officers, you know, whoever's property it is, you know, whichever, whether it's a county or a city is in charge of staffing the school resources, unless there was another agreement made, which sometimes that happens. But nevertheless, currently, this area you can see above and below the red is largely residential, already built out, right? And that is not in the city. Those, again, you would probably be, given the values of those homes and what it would cost to service them, and the fact that you all have high service here, these households would benefit from being in the city, but they wouldn't necessarily be a fiscal positive. So you could bring in you could approach the idea of annexing these residential areas north and south of Starrs Mill, but it would be sort of a long, drawn-out process with those residents. And when you did it, again, it would be an impact to a marginal impact, but an impact to the budget. Nevertheless, Starrs Mill, could be there. And when you annex Starrs Mill, you now are contiguous, adjacent to some parcels further to the east that could be economic development parcels, right? So you could currently not, quote unquote, annex or grab any of those parcels in yellow, which could be economic development. They could also be recreation parks that the city might want to control. So that could be another strategic reason to annex Starrs Mill, is to sort of give you access to those parcels if you wanted to control those. But again, it would be for a reason other than, we're going to take that and improve our budget position. Annexation Area 3 is the Ebenezer Road area, right? And we heard a lot. And if you just look at the map, it almost seems like Ebenezer Road is a natural, quote unquote, natural boundary for the city. You're almost there in blue. We don't control anything on Ebenezer Road, but it basically feels like it's part of the city. So that was sort of the idea here. You do have a mobile home park there in red that is not in the city that, if you were to annex that, I think it's a good thing to think about just as a concept. If you were to annex that, it would be a fiscal, a money negative. It would be a fiscal negative to bring in because the service costs. But over time, you get to sort of control the destiny of that mobile home park. And that may be something that's worth it. It may be, we heard that you effectively service that anyway. Your first call, your people are first call there when the county can't get there. So, it might be worth it from that perspective just to go ahead and control that or any of these parcels, given that your services are kind of there anyway. But again, it may be, not worth it. You may have a long-term vision for what Ebenezer Road wants to be. Again, priority-wise, it's number 3 because number 1, the 54 corridor, we would say is your number 1 priority. That's where the growth is going to be first. Ebenezer, I think, probably grows over time, but I don't think that it's as imminent that you're going to lose control of things on Ebenezer if you don't annex it today. But over time, you may want to consider that. And then 4, this honestly is a sleeper area for me. It's prioritized as number 4, but I could see moving it up the list. Really 1 through 4 are all worth considering, thinking about. But again, the one reason this is a sleeper for me is that there's nobody else is going to annex these properties, right? There's no other cities that are going to annex them. You can see there's a couple parcels that are already fiscally positive. And so, we say in the report, you could wait, you could be patient on these, but you could also not be patient and go ahead and go for annexation because they are basically break even and certainly represent potential future commercial, particularly industrial development if you wanted to pursue that, right? And so that's the thing. Right now, they're only marginally beneficial, but over time, if this did become something like an industrial development, then it would become a major fiscal winner, and that you would probably rather have that than the county collecting property taxes. They would also continue to collect property taxes, but then you would too. Annex Area 5, this is the northern part. You can see Tyrone, right? So where sort of Peachtree City and Tyrone form the 4 corners over there in the county. Well, I guess it only 3, but we didn't find any compelling reasons other than, kind of future growth. Who controls future growth of number 5? We heard a lot from the citizens that are in the county that are in the red there. They don't seem to be all that interested in being in Peachtree City from what we could hear, at least the feedback that we got, the few people that we did talk to over there. But nevertheless, we don't see this really becoming fiscally positive in the future, in the near-term future. But again, you may want to go ahead and think about annexing this just from having the boundaries, and if we don't get it now, maybe Tyrone gets it, and that's a consideration. So, what does all that mean? I mean, again, this slide has a lot of words on it, but nevertheless, you've kind of been able to distill that this decision, if you were to annex, is really not a fiscal question, right? If you have to make money on your annexation, doing large scale, or if you have to go positive in your budget to bring these large scale areas in, you won't do it. But there are parcels within, right? Some of those colored parcels that we pointed out might be, more logical to go after for annexation. Again, some of them are fiscally positive, and they might be, a strategic and or political goal of yours, right? And so reasons to maybe continue to think about it, while it doesn't necessarily pay for itself, your exposure is modest, right? You just passed your budget. If you were to, quote unquote, lose all the money that we are showing here, taking on all of that area, it would be about $1 million negative impact to the budget. So no one wants to lose $1 million, but it's not, it's a portion of your budget. Again, if strategically and politically you wanted to do it, it might be worth that $1 million. But nevertheless, I don't think there's a rush on most of it. Your undeveloped land is the opportunity. And some of that undeveloped land a lot of it will get developed at some point in the near or longer term, and it will become fiscally beneficial. And if it's not in the city at that point, the county benefits, and the city doesn't necessarily. So again, it's not just a yes or no question. It's not just a yes or no to any of these in particular areas, although maybe we did come out pretty strong no on number 5. But I think all the other areas are worth looking at, knowing that those are your growth areas. You're not really going to grow anywhere else. And over time, they do represent the likelihood of becoming fiscally beneficial because if and when there is development on them. So again, high-level summary, and I probably talked enough already. So if there are any particular questions, comments, concerns about any of this, I mean, that's why I'm here, happy to keep talking. But that really kind of gives you the long and the short of it. And again, we're not going anywhere. We're here to continue to work with you on this as necessary. But thank you for your time.
That's good to know.
Yep.
Thank you. You're still in the wings.
We're here.
That's good to know. Council, any questions?
No, I will say, I like the color coding for the properties. It really made a visual impact when you're looking at something to say, okay, this is a maybe, this is a no, this is a good idea. So.
I appreciate that, and we tried to make this as user-friendly as possible. And I will say, too, that most of the residential isn't colored.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say that, you may or may not hear from those residents. Some of those residents may rise up together and say, we want to be in the city, and that may be worth considering that. One of the things we also say in here is that new residential, it costs so much to build homes now, that if any of these properties are going to be future residential, if the break-even point is kind of somewhere around 500,000, 550,000.
Yeah.
So if you had a neighborhood of $1 million homes, those would probably be fiscal winners at the kind of property tax. So again, you may politically, culturally, you may not want to bring them into the city. They may be fine in the county, but again, just as a consideration for some of those residential areas, depending on the value of the home from a fiscal perspective, they might be worth looking at.
I have a comment if you're done,
Go ahead.
Suzanne.
Go ahead.
Is that okay, Madam Mayor?
Please.
Yeah. The only comment I have is, obviously, when I read this over, and I read it a couple of times to make sure I understood it, I like what I see. I think it's a good roadmap, guidance document, call it what you will. But to me, the one that jumped out that says, don't waste your time on one, but the other 4 should be done in the order you've got them. Number 1, which you have listed as number 1, gives us the ability to control what happens along the 54 corridor. Now, how far we want to go, do we want to go all the way to Tyrone Road and all of that? That's up for this council here. But I think controlling what you've laid out here with those specific pieces of property really make, to me anyways, good sense that we can control the kind of commercial, because that's going to be mainly a commercial corridor. What kind of commercial goes in there? You know, I think we got enough, sorry about to say this, but I think we got enough car washes around the city. So we don't need more of those. But we probably need some other things out there on the east side as the east side of our city continues to grow. So the control of that area is probably, in Clint's opinion, that's number one. The others can be taken in whatever order, 2, 3, and 4. And as you say, number 5 maybe is pushed aside for right now. So what I like about this is I concur with what you put on there.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and it does bring up something too that I just want to say real fast, is that if and when you approve this plan, it's just a planning document, right? You are not signing up to annex any of these parcels necessarily, and you know, city attorney, city manager, this is I'm kind of out of my lane in saying this. This is your lane to say, but I'll say it anyway. That yeah, this is a planning document. If you're going to actually annex anything, that is a whole nother process that you got to get started. This is just to help you think about it, make decisions, and especially when you're approached with people that want to get annexed, you can go back to this document and say, well, how does that work out in what KB told us, 2 years ago or whenever it is.
Council, any other questions or comments?
Justin, can we get this like printed out and bound like some of our other studies that we've got?
Yeah, yes, and I can get you all copies of it.
Is that would
In
be-
color.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, the recommendation from staff in our council packet is approve the annexation study document as presented. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that item D, 082607 is approved for the annexation study final draft.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks, Jeff, for everything.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, I think we did it. I think we got through everything. Council staff topics, I want to mention that City Hall will be closed tomorrow afternoon so that staff can get all moved in the front desk. Is that correct?
That's exciting.
Yeah,
And
court will be
court.
closed.
Nice.
And planning, yes, yes, wonderful. Tomorrow's the day. Anybody else, council staff topics?
Yeah, I wanted to say this when it was talked about in the beginning, when Gary got up there and started to talk about wreaths across America. This is all about supporting the veterans who've passed on and are buried in our city here, and to make sure they get honored every year. I've been doing this for a few years now and supporting this organization called Wreaths Across America. So please, buy a wreath, support a veteran's place that he's buried here in Peachtree City. That's all I got, Madam
All
Mayor.
right, thank you. Anybody else? Ted, do we have executive session?
Yes, we do, but we should be brief, pending or threatened litigation.
Can
will
I,
be the topic.
can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that we go to executive session for pending and threatening litigation.
I'll second.
Yep.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are now in executive session.